Welcome back to TNT's wide-open coverage of the Coke Zero 400, powered by Coca-Cola. It has been a fantastic 5th of July along Daytona Beach, and the night's going to be even better, and the weather's even good. Stories from pit road before we go racing. Here's Ralph Sheheen.
Matt Kenseth is only 15 points out of 12. That's where he needs to be if he wants to get into the chase. However, he probably didn't want to see Daytona next up on the schedule. In 17 starts, he only has one top 5 here. You ask him about restrictor plate racing at Daytona, Marty Snyder, he'll tell you it's maddening.
Well, Ralph, for Tony Stewart, the problem tonight may not be the car. He likes the car. A little bit tight, he said in practice, but he's very confident in Greg Zipadelli's plan. The problem for Stewart may be his health. Right before our NASCAR Live interview, Stewart was in the infield care center taking in IVs. He said he feels much better now and rehydrated, but he did feel a little poor earlier in the morning. Matt?
Jimmie Johnson and his team pretty excited about tonight's race. Hendrick Motorsports has won 4 of the last 9 restrictor plate races. The only concern that Chad Knaus had coming in tonight was a little bit of tire wear they saw in practice. Remember, final practice was rained out, and they only got 18 laps in the first session. They had planned on working on a lot of their race setup in final practice, which never happened. To Lindsay Zarniak.
Matt, not much celebrating this weekend for Martin Truex Jr. His car failed inspection, and it was confiscated by NASCAR. They're forced to the backup. The problem is the only laps he's had so far in that new car was qualifying. With the chase coming up, they know how crucial a solid finish is. Martin Truex Jr. rolls off 35th. Bill?
Thanks, Lindsay. And you saw those pit road positions. Those could be critical tonight as this race plays out over 400 miles at the Daytona International Speedway. Good crowd on hand after a hot summer day in Daytona. Night's going to be even hotter. Glad you're along for the ride. Let's take you trackside here at Daytona and get the command for tonight's race.
And now, race fans, here to deliver those most famous words in motorsports this Independence Day weekend, please welcome Coca-Cola Racing family member and 1999 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion, Dale Jarrett.
Thank you. As one of the original Coca-Cola family of driver members, it's an honor for me to be the Grand Marshal of the first Coke Zero 400. Now let's get these guys ready to race. Gentlemen, start your engines.
"43 cars fire to life on pit road at Daytona. TNT's wide-open coverage of the Coke Zero 400 is presented by Coca-Cola Zero. Real Coke taste and 0 calories. TNT Sports presents NASCAR. Tonight, it's the Coke Zero 400 from Daytona, powered by Coca-Cola, for the stars of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Cars just pulling off of pit road, beginning their 3 pace laps on this 2.5-mile track. TNT would like to thank the following sponsors for supporting our wide-open coverage: Papa John's, Warner Brothers New Motion Pictures The Dark Knight and Journey to the Center of the Earth, Coors Light, HP Touch Smart PC, the U.S. Army, Toyota, Subway Restaurants, Sprint, and Coke Zero. At the bottom of the screen, we'll show you our Coke Zero starting grid for tonight's race here at the Daytona International Speedway. And all DEI front row of Paul Menard and Mark Martin. And we can tell you, NASCAR has informed us no cars will be dropping to the rear of the field, but there is the possibility 1 or 2 of the go-or-go-home cars may pull out of line and voluntarily fall to the rear just because of the setup on their car. We'll continue the starting grid at the bottom of your screen. Hi, everybody. Bill Weber along with Wally Dollenbach. Thanks for having us in for the race. We love coming to Daytona, but there are a few things we have to point out. That in qualifying, the go-or-go-homers went very fast. They're all at the front of the field.
Yeah, not for long. Those guys will drop back because their race cars are going to handle it differently. They've got a little bit different setup to try to make this race. That's why they were so fast. So they'll probably get to the back, wait for a caution so they can make those changes on pit lane.
Now, one of the things we love about coming to Daytona for the 4th of July weekend is that this race is at night. had a fun day here in Daytona, but just the atmosphere here is fantastic when the lights come up.
It really is. This is a cool place for everybody. It's a special event. It used to be called the Firecracker. It's held on July 4th weekend, but it's very different than the Daytona 500. This is a different racetrack in the summer because it's hot and it's slippery. You saw those guys beating and banging through the corners of Talladega. It was a great race. We're going to have a great race, but you can't get away with that so much here because you've got your hands full here at this racetrack in the summertime.
And we did talk earlier today about tire wear, and it goes away in a hurry here.
That's because this track is very abrasive. Unlike Talladega, where it's very smooth, you don't ever have tire problems at Talladega. It's just the opposite here. This racetrack's like a cheese grater. It tears those tires up, and after about 10 or 15 laps, you start feeling the race car sliding around.
Well, we love calling the race for you, but we also have a third member of our broadcast team. He's not in the booth right now. He got a ride for the race. Well, at least for the laps leading up to the race. Kyle, where are you?
I'm down here in the pace car, and let me tell you something. I may not come up there. This is the first time I've led anything in about 20 years, okay? So I may just stay out here. And listen to what you guys say. This car handles pretty good out here, I will say that. But Wally's exactly right. When it comes to handling and tire wear and all that stuff, you know, I may have to pit next lap just for right side tires because these things are going to go away in the first 10 or 15 laps, and these guys are going to have their hands full for the first few laps of this thing.
Well, I found some guys that said they'll pit that thing for you. You interested?
They'll do what?
They'll pit it for you during the race.
Yeah, I tell you what, if somebody will pit it for me, by God, I'll stay out here. Just bring me a Coke Zero, and like Wally said, I got to bring pizza up to the booth. That's all I need, bud, and we'll be set.
All right, have fun down there. We'll see you in a few minutes. Let's check in with Larry McReynolds.
Well, Bill, when you think about the last 3 or 4 races, they have been won on strategy, and in most cases it involved changing no tires or maybe just right side tires. I talked to a lot of the top crew chiefs, and they said with the way the cars are handling here, as hot and slick as this place is, more than likely every time they come down pit road, it will be for 4 Goodyear tires. Now, the big topic, like you and Wally were talking about, the go or go homers, what they had to do to get in this show, in their first few pit stops, it's going to be pretty interesting because they're going to come to pit road. They're going to be adjusting on their front shocks. They're maybe even going to be changing their oil. They'll be adjusting their shock packers, the bump stops. The 10 car, Mike Shiplett, they're going to adjust the camber on the right front. Things they had to do to get in the show. The big item, though, will be the alternator belt. Every one of those teams qualified without an alternator belt. The fan may say, why did the guys do this if they knew they were going to have to change it? Their first race was to get in a race, and right now Ralph Shaheen is with one of those guys that qualified in the top 10 in the 7th spot.
Larry, that'd be Frankie Stoddard, crew chief for Boris said. Frankie, what are you going to have to change to your car when you pit?
Well, we're going to do quite a few things. Not a lot, but we're going to take a little bit of timing out of it. We're going to put an alternator belt on that we went over to Advanced Auto Parts and purchased, and some energy drinks so we can get the job done tonight. A little bit of no fear. And we're going to make an adjustment to the right front shock, Ralph. We're lucky we don't have to change springs. We worked on some things to hopefully alleviate those problems of changing springs. I know some guys are going to go behind the wall and do that. But we feel pretty good. If we can get the shock adjustment made on the right front, a little bit of timing out of it, we'll be ready to race to the front.
Bill, they will wait for yellow to do that.
Thanks, Ralph. Fans, if one of the Coca-Cola sponsored drivers wins the race, people across the U.S. can visit CokeZero.com through July 13th to receive a coupon for a free 20-ounce bottle of Coke Zero and enjoy the only soft drink that offers real Coke taste and 0 calories. And our wide open coverage of the Coke Zero 400 underway from Daytona, the field just about half a lap from going green. It really is a beautiful night here at Daytona, and you see one car falling out of line. That appears to be A.J. Allmendinger, who had given a heads up to NASCAR that he might pull out of line and fall to the rear of the field. He was a go or go homer.
You see Boris said is back there already.
Boris, another one of the cars that had to get in on speed, as Larry talked about. They need to make significant changes to their car, as you heard Frankie Stoddard telling Ralph.
Yeah, they're hoping for a caution early, too. They don't want to be out with this setup for 15 or 20 laps.
.43 cars lined up for 400 miles here for the Coke Zero 400. Richard Petty won here 10 times, Cale Yarborough 9 times, David Pearson had 8 Daytona wins, Fireball Roberts had 7, and of course, among the winners here, our old buddy Benny Parsons won the Daytona 500 in 1975. 122 races here have produced 52 different race winners. 11 of them are in the field tonight. There are 7 former champions in the race. The pace car to pit road. 1 year ago, the finish of this race too close to call. All DEI front row, Paul Menard and Mark Martin. Green flag in the air. They are wide open at Daytona. Menard leads the first lap in the Coke Zero 400.
A little surprised that top 15 or so cars already single file.
This is when you really want to think about making some kind of move because your tires are so fresh.
Boy, they're stacked up right here. First 15, 18 cars are single file, and then you've got 3 abreast back here.
Jeff Burton in the 31, Clint Boyer in the 07. That's Sterling Marlin in the 09. Looking to go 3 wide.
See how much by that shot right there, how much these cars move around on this racetrack.
The 21 car, John Wood, has made the left-hand turn into the garage. So we have 42 cars on the track. Long freight train at the front. There, they're double file. Larry?
Bill, the 21 car will be back out on the racetrack. They were one of the teams that got very aggressive with the changes. They're in the garage area as we speak, changing the oil, changing springs, things that NASCAR would not allow them to do and that you could do safely on pit road. They will be back out on the racetrack.
And Larry, about how long do you think that's going to take for them to get all that changed?
Well, Wally, at Talladega, they did the same thing back in the spring, and they lost 11 laps. They practiced this for a solid week at the race shop, changing oil and things like that. They have it all orchestrated out how they're going to do it.
See Jeff Gordon stuck there in the middle of that pack, right behind Clint Boyer in the 07.
Brian Vickers in the 83 behind Gordon in the 24. Marty on Jeff Gordon.
I was going to talk about also what Wally was talking about, Bill. Those bumps these guys are going over. Jeff Gordon told me this is one of the roughest racetracks we run at. And if you hit those bumps wrong, it can really upset your car. It's hard to hang on, Wally, but I can't imagine those bumps have got to make it a lot worse inside the car.
Yeah, it does, Marty. That's why I said it's so different Talladega. Talladega's so smooth, and you see those guys were actually bump drafting through the corners. I don't know if you're going to be able to get away with that here at Daytona, because because it's rough, you bump draft the guy through the corners, that's really going to jack him out of shape. And you can see the cars are already jacked out of shape just by themselves.
The grip on these tires lasts about 15 laps. That's if your car is handling well from the get-go.
Whoa, Gordon gets a little bit loose right there. That was Vickers, I believe, on his tail, and you can see Jeff had his hands full there. That car was sideways over in turn 3.
Menard, then Earnhardt.
And if you're loose getting in, that makes it really hard, because if you're loose in, you've already lost the downforce on the back of the car. Now, if you got somebody tucked up on your bumper and you're taking some of that air off it, it makes it twice as bad.
On board with Jeff Gordon.
Now, watch when Jeff goes in. You always check the mirror right before you get into the corner to watch where the guy is at behind you. He's pretty high on the racetrack right now. And if your car is loose, you're going to be up right up on that wall, because there's more banking up there. And if you do spin out, you don't have so far to hit that wall.
This portion of TNT's Wide Open coverage is brought to you by Papa John's, and our thanks to Papa John's for being a part of our big night here in the Coke Zero 400. Give a call to Johnny Sauter, running third.
I'll tell you another thing is, if you see a guy that's really loose getting in the corner too, you don't want to stay behind him. You want to leave that line and try to find somebody that's a little bit more stable. As you see the 83 of Vickers, who is behind the 24, drop down to the bottom line, and he's following Dave Blaney in that 22 right now.
Martin Truex Jr. from 35th to 20th. There's Tony Stewart in that 20, the Home Depot Toyota. This was just a lap or so ago.
Yeah, what happened there was 11 got out of the gas. He had to slow down, and Stewart had to slow down and jump out of the throttle. And the thing is, when you jump out of the throttle here in the corner, you actually lose grip, and it will slide up the racetrack. So that's what happened there with Tony.
That 20 and 11, those teammates, they have a little bit of a history here at Daytona. Menard leads. That yellow 15 car, that's Dale Earnhardt Jr. behind him. Now David Reagan on the move with Mark Martin in the 8 and Kyle Busch in the 18. They go under Johnny Sauter.
Yeah, Sauter's not going to get too much cooperation right now, especially during this race. I mean, Johnny's a good race car driver, no doubt about it, but he doesn't run with these guys as much as some of the other people here. So, you know, there's a comfort zone, especially on the restrictor plate races, where you want to be with the guys, you know, that you're run with on these type of races all the time.
Saw the 0-1 of Regan Smith in there as well.
But believe me, if Sauter's got a fast car at the end of the race, he'll have all kinds of friends.
You bet. And he's going to look for his places, too, because he knows they aren't looking for him, so he's going to be looking for them. Paul Menard has just matched his career high in laps led. He's led the first 8 laps here tonight. I think he was pretty excited when you heard from him on the Allstate Countdown to Green. How about that 15 car, Lindsay?
Bill, you guys were talking before about feeling loose at this track, and that was a condition that Paul Menard felt during practice. They had made some changes right at the end of practice, a track bar change. They also pulled the splitter in. Paul said whatever it was, he could feel the difference during qualifying. Of course, they had that qualifying setup, but you can see right now he is very, very confident with this car, still working with the help of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And the best place to be right now is out front. If he were to get mixed up in the middle of that pack, he would be scared to death. I mean, that car would be a handful. So, I mean, yes, I mean, he's in a good spot right now. That's where you want it. The best these cars are going to handle are when they're in clean air, no matter what happens. And the 21 is hitting the track, and it's 11 laps. So, Larry, you nailed it.
You know, we talked to Jeff Gordon yesterday, and he really underscored the part about being in clean air.
Yeah, I don't care what kind of race car you build. It could be the old car, new car. I don't care what race car it is. The best they're going to be, the best they're going to handle is when they're by themselves. When you're hogging all the air to yourself, that's the best these cars are going to be, handle-wise.
Race fans looking for a little adventure this summer? Try Papa John's Adventure Trio. 3 medium, 3 topping pizzas for $7 each. And speaking of pizza, somebody was supposed to bring us one. Kyle Petty has made it to the booth.
Okay, I'm sorry. I heard Wally say, if you can get the pace car out there, stop by Papa John's. I didn't get a chance to get the Papa John's. I'm sorry.
What are you doing, clowning around down there?
I am clowning around. I said it's going to be 50 laps. It only took me 10 to get up here.
Well, we appreciate it.
How'd I look leading? Did I look good leading?
Yeah, you did.
I felt good leading.
Yeah,
I felt good.
Nobody could even touch it.
I didn't think they could. I didn't think they could.
Okay, now watching the 24 car here in the middle of your screen.
Yeah, well, he ran out of room there, but I mean, his car has not looked really, really good to begin with. And that's a 70 car, and like I said, he's finding no friends up there, Johnny Sauter. But Jeff just needed a little bit more racetrack because that car is sliding around all over the place, and got into the 70 a little bit. And you're going to see a lot of that, especially up at turn 4. It always seems like you run out of room there for some reason coming out of turn 4. It always happens every race here.
Nice job, bud. Take a look at your temps out here in clean air. Let me know about the car in a few more laps. That's the 14th complete, 1-4.
Yeah, and that was just...
240, all 240.
Yeah, you hear him giving the oil temperature in the water. He's been back there in traffic, and now he's cleared traffic, and they're wanting to know how's the car, what's the car temperature is going to be. Can we add tanks? Can we take tanks? But you saw the 24. You're in the middle after 10 laps. I don't want to be in the middle after 10 or 12 laps.
This portion of TNT's wide open coverage of the Coke Zero 400 brought to you by the U.S. Army. I think we saw in the Daytona 500 that these cars are a little bit more forgiving in those situations as well with the car of today.
Well, yeah, but when you've got cars all around you,
Like
it's
a dreamer
not.
at the bottom.
But you know what? Right now, he's by himself. He worked through a lot of this traffic. He's in a pretty good spot right now, and I think he'll start moving to the front.
Checking out when I check out getting in on the top of the loose. 4. Just do your thing. I'll ask you in a few laps.
It's Jeff Gordon talking to Steve Letarte. Marty?
Hey, Mr. Weber, that was Jeff Gordon on the radio chatting to Steve Letarte about how the car is. He said he was in traffic. It was really, really loose and hard to hold on to, and he had to run the top line. But once he's gotten out of traffic now, you'll see him run the bottom line. He can handle it when he's by himself, but that's got to be an uncomfortable feeling with cars around you with a car as loose as Jeff Gordon's is.
Yeah, but two things I picked up from that radio communication. The one thing he said right before that was, drives like a dream on the bottom. And he had just run through 3 and 4. Then you saw him go back to 1 and 2, and he was still on the bottom. He said, but when I run the top, I got to check up a little bit getting in the corner because the car is loose. We've run 15 laps, and here's a guy running by himself, and he's saying, my car is loose when I go in high, and I've got to ease up. So these guys, even this far back in the pack, and driving and passing people the way he is, he's not running wide open.
Yeah, Kenseth's car down there, he was on the bottom right there. You could see when he hit that bump in 1 and 2, that car jacked all out of shape right there. So he looks like he may be struggling a little bit as well.
And I just want to pay out the John Wood 21 car story. They did come back out on lap 11, as Wally pointed out. They were in the garage for 6 minutes. They lost 8 laps. They're currently scored 43rd, 8 laps down.
And Kenseth, if you watch the telemetry there, I saw him get out of the gas just a little bit over in 3 and 4. Just a little bit. You can see that green color change just a little. Ralphie, what are they saying about Matt's car?
Well, it's not handling the way it should, Wally, or the way he needs it to if he wants it to be competitive here tonight. He's a little bit tight in and a little bit loose off, which does not make for a good combination, as you know.
Bump draft.
And you'll see a lot of that, I think, tonight on the straightaway, Kyle. I don't know if they're going to get away with that like they did at Talladega. You know, in the corners.
I don't think they're going to get away with it near like they did. And you saw, there's 2 really good guys. You saw Mark ease right up to him, bump him a couple of times, shoot him out there a little bit. And then by the time they're 2/3 of the way down the backstretch, Mark stayed off of him the rest of the time to give Tony time to get the car back into the corner.
Mark Martin driving the U.S. Army Chevy Impala, but the Army has some pretty impressive vehicles of their own. Let's see how they match up to NASCAR.
And that's what we talked about. They didn't want to bring out the first yellow, but
they wanted a yellow.
They wanted a yellow, so they get the car changed over into a race setup.
Okay, A.J. Allmendinger has obviously hit the wall. He's made his pit stall under caution, cut tire, coming around to complete lap number 20 under the caution. You saw the battle between Earnhardt and Menard for the lead. And right now we on our computer have the 88 scored as the race leader, and we'll confirm that with NASCAR. Watching for the 84.
Yeah, he definitely blew right front there. You can see that easy.
And that looks just exactly like the 2-car did in practice when the 2-car. You know, talking to some of these guys in the garage area, especially these guys that qualified good, they had about 2.5 degrees of static camber. And Larry can probably talk about this a little bit. 2.5 degrees of static, but in the middle of the corner, it would go all the way to 6 to almost 7 degrees of camber.
So that's why.
And that's why they're wearing so much on the inside. Even though we've only run 15 to 20 laps or whatever, it just wears the tire out.
But they normally blow going going in.
Going
and I
in.
noticed these two
Yes.
crashes have been blown. They blew off the corner.
When it's really loaded on it, they're on the smallest part of the tire.
This portion of TNT's Wide Open coverage brought to you by Sprint. Confirmation from NASCAR. When the yellow came out, the field was frozen. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the race leader. Then it's Paul Menard, David Reagan, Tony Stewart from 17th to 4th. Kyle Busch is 5th. Then it's Martin, Smith, Quapple in the 8th position. Blaney and Brian Vickers, the top 10. 42 cars are on the lead lap. Allmendinger about to fall off of it. John Wood is 8 laps down after pitting early in the race to change the setup on his car. Watching to see if they open pit road.
I see green. I see green.
And it looks like they're all going to be coming. So, Ralph, you batting lead off down there?
That's me, Bill, and with about 20 laps in, to start to see the tires wear off is not a surprise. That's about the only problem for David Reagan. They're just going to change 4 tires, minor adjustments, Marty Snyder.
Well, Ralph, Tony Stewart makes his move from 17th to 4th. What a terrific run for him. He said when he's in traffic, his car is a little bit tight by himself. The car is very good. A round of wedge out. That's all for Tony Stewart, Matt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the top left of your screen. Jr. says the car was neutral. No changes for Jr. on this stop. 4 tires. They were well past the point of going for 2, but the car too close to the wall. A couple extra pumps in the jack, Lindsay.
Matt, Paul Menard saying that he needs more grip. He was tight in the center, loose off. They'll bring him in for 4 tires and fuel. Bill.
A lot of traffic down there on pit road. Kyle Busch wins the race off of pit road.
Well, I tell you what, Junior lost a bunch of spots on that one.
We're going to take a local break here. We'll be back to the Coke Zero 400 in 1 minute and 25 seconds. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. TNT Sports at Daytona with a Coke Zero 400. Our wide open coverage continues, powered by Coca-Cola. Tony Stewart has made a 2nd trip to pit road. Sterling Marlin is also back on pit road. Kyle Busch is the race leader. Then it's Menard, Smith, Blaney, David Reagan. Travis Quapple is 6th. Then Matt Kenseth, Brian Vickers, Kevin Harvick, and Tony Stewart was scored in the 10th position. That will change, though you see A.J. Allmendinger's car being towed back to the garage. John Wood in the 21 got the free pass, and let's check with Larry McReynolds.
Well, guys, the goal, no matter what racetrack you're at, is to get the entire footprint of this tire on the racetrack. And in the corner, when the car travels down, it gets this entire footprint. But when you're on the straightaway and the car is up just a little bit, and you've got that negative camber in, which helps the car turn, means the top of this tire is leaned in. It's riding on this shoulder. And on the straightaways, it absolutely abuses and will wear that inside shoulder out. What a lot of the go or go home teams told me they were going to have to do on the first pit stop, unfortunately the 84 did not get there, is basically reach in there and take a shim out of here to lean this tire back out to take some of that negative camber wear so it's not so hard on the inside of the tire.
Field was going to go green this time. The yellow has been waved again, so they'll add at least 1 more lap. The test car brought to you by Saving Grace on TNT, starring Holly Hunter. The all-new, highly anticipated season begins May 14th following the closer on TNT. Time to take a look at the new Samsung Instinct from Sprint, only on the Now Network. Field has gotten the 1 to go signal. Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. came in first and has currently scored 14th. Let's go back and look at his pit stop before we go green.
I think he just slid in and
a little close to the wall.
Yeah, he's just real close to the wall. The problem is when the jackman comes around, he has a very hard time jacking the left side of the car up, and that's what takes so much time.
You know, and that's strange because when you watched him come in.
But watch this as well. Go ahead, Kyle.
He came in close to the wall. He didn't angle in. Well, you see the 09 weight on him.
Yeah,
that's just a courtesy.
Anything, yeah.
That was a courtesy right there from Sterling Marlin. But the funny part is we see rookie mistakes where guys swing into their pits, lock their brakes, and slide all the way in next to the wall. That was not a rookie. He had a clean shot in. He was just very close to the wall.
Matt?
Junior said on the radio basically it was his mistake. that he wanted Tony Jr. to kind of give him a little more, okay, hurry up, get back in here, because he was coming into his pit stall too slow. And then he messed up his exit out of his pit stall.
Thanks, Matt. And just to clarify, Tony Stewart only stopped once, but did come out 10th. They were doing some work on the right rear on Stewart's car is what we saw.
And it was hard to tell. It was hard to tell whether they were pulling a rubber out or pushing a rubber back in, or whether they swept the shock. You know, I don't know what Tony's car was doing or what he was trying to say to adjust at that point in time. A lot of times these spring rubbers, instead of putting them in and pulling them out like we used to, we tie wrap them to the spring itself. So they're just dangling under the car as you race. So I don't know if they reached in and snatched one out because maybe he didn't have enough grip, or the car wasn't turning like he wanted to, so he put one in.
Well, the only thing I noticed one time, Kyle, was over in a bump in between 3 and 4. When he hit that bump, that car shot up the race like maybe there was too much rebound in the right rear. So yeah, no telling what it was, but whatever they did, they changed it fast.
They changed it. It was a very quick change. They did a really good job. They reached in, they made the sweep or whatever they did, and maybe before we go too far into the race, we can find out what it was. The interesting part about what Larry was talking about the camber stuff, and we saw it with the 12 car in practice, or excuse me, the 2 car of Kurt Busch, was that when you run on just a narrow part of the tire down the straightaway, and then you lean on it in the corner and put all the weight of the car on it, you're wearing it double in the corner, plus you're wearing it down the straightaway at the same time. And the 2 car in practice, they were trying to see how many laps they could put on a set of tires. That tire had something like 40-some laps on it when the 2 car blew it in practice. And that was with their race setup. Now, these guys had a qualifying setup and blew it in about 15 to 16 laps.
Marty, are you the answer man?
I was trying to see how long Kyle and Wally could go to see if they could figure it out. But they did put a spring in the right rear, or a rubber in the right spring rubber in the right rear for Tony Stewart. His car was too tight, and you guys had it exactly right. They had it pinned in the car so they could just slide it in. Remember, we told you Tony was not feeling too well. J.J. Yaley is in his pit stall as a substitute driver if Tony does need to get out of the car. He has said that he does feel much better, but as we told you earlier, he took IV fluids in the infield care center before the race started. And Kyle Wally, you know it's tough to drive one of these cars, period, but when you're not feeling well, it's even a little harder, isn't it?
To be honest, I'll tell you what, sometimes, Marty, when you get in that race car, you forget about how bad you feel. And unless you're really, really dehydrated, a race is the best thing for you.
This portion of TNT's Wide Open coverage is brought to you by Viagra. Kyle Busch, the race leader. Then Menard. Laps are complete, and they are really getting racy from right behind Vickers and on back. This portion of TNT's Wide Open coverage of the Coke Zero 400 brought to you by our friends with the HP TouchSmart PC.
Stuck up in 3rd spot there, David Blaney, the 22 car. David Reagan there in a 6 car. And you got Vickers, and I don't know, Vickers looks like he's been having his hands full too, but that could be because 88 had him jacked up all over the place going through the corner.
You know, we've had 1 pit stop now. These guys got 1 practice session, and then they had to qualify. Just as we were talking about Tony Stewart making adjustments. A lot of these guys made adjustments. In that first 15 or 20 laps, we were seeing these guys get a little bit spread out. Okay, now they're getting racy, just like you said. They're up there still running too wide, you know, after 10 or 12 laps on this set of tires. So they've made adjustments, and a lot of these guys are a lot more comfortable with their car now, and they'll continue to make a few more. So I look to the 2nd and 3rd pit stop before we really shakes out to see who our leaders are going to be and who our best cars are going to be.
160 laps, 400 miles.
Wow. Reagan was snuck up on the outside of there of Blaney there for a second.
Well, Earnhardt got a real run there. Earnhardt in the National Guard, 88. Rick Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet. This is down the backstretch. Headed for turn 3.
You see the 6 car where he's dropped to. He got pinched going into turn 1, had to get out of it. And believe me, he got out of it, whether you believe it or not. And that's how much momentum he lost. He's lost 6 or 7 positions just in a mile of the racetrack right here. And he's got a really good car. His car, from the very get-go, has been able to go high and low and a little bit of everywhere.
And see, he got to get back in line there where now Jimmy Johnson isn't. Jimmy Johnson, unless he gets back in line, he's going to sink like a stone.
Matt.
Bill, he is stuck in the center of the racetrack. The biggest issue for Jimmy says he's loose in, but his bigger problem is if he runs the bottom, then he gets too tight late exit. That's why he was moving around a little bit. Right now, he's just trying to find a hole to move into.
Yeah, exactly. Right
Easier
now, he wants out of that middle because that's it. See how that car's wiggling around? I'm telling you what, that's how it feels. You're just hanging on to that thing. It feels like the rear of the car isn't even hooked to the racetrack.
You're always one turn behind it. When it goes left, you're turning right. When it goes right, you're turning left. And it just weaves back and forth when you're in the middle like that.
Remember that yellow line around the inside of the racetrack right there is out of bounds. You cannot go below that yellow line and make a pass. If you do, you have to give the position back or NASCAR will penalize you. Blaney and Vickers up there behind Earnhardt and race leader Kyle Busch.
And you got to be impressed with Blaney right here, because Blaney, and I don't think a lot of people remember this, Blaney and those guys didn't make Talladega. Okay, they went with a car that they thought had a shot at winning the Daytona 500 to Talladega and didn't make the race.
That'll drive you crazy, won't it?
It will drive you crazy because it's the same car. It's the same car. Your guys do the same stuff at the shop. The engine guys build the best stuff they can build, and then you look at yourself and you're like, what happened? I don't understand it.
See Kyle Busch there in that Miller Lite Dodge for Roger Penske.
Where did Kurt Busch start?
9th. Kurt Busch? Yeah. 36th. Kyle Busch started 9th.
Kurt Busch now in the 8th spot.
Jeff Burton's gone from 23rd to 7th. Jeff Gordon 26th to 9th. Elliott Sadler 38th to 10th. And his big news was he got engaged this week. Going to get married just after the first of the year.
He gets married, he's going to have to pick up the pace.
Yeah.
I can tell you that from experience.
Larry.
Well, Bill, what I want you to do is look at his teammate right behind him, Casey Kane, in the 9 car. He is just about to crack the top 10. Remember, he started 41st. But Kyle and I were talking earlier in the day. 2 of the slowest cars in qualifying, the 9 car and the 77, they came here with total thought process of handling. If you notice, we've been talking about rear ends being skewed, towed out all year long. The 9 car has that rear end that has maximum tow out, mainly for handling, and so far it looks like it's working out for him.
Thanks, Larry. That's for 3rd. Vickers being pushed by Mark Martin in the 8th.
I tell you, Tony still looks like he's having a hard time holding a line through 3 and 4.
And we watched some of the Nationwide race last night. The 20 car looks like the 5 car did last night. He just points it at the bottom of the racetrack and catches it wherever it lands and then goes again. You know, Larry talking about the 9 car, that's interesting that they came with a downforce package, because the skewed rear end is a downforce package, and you don't think about that on speedways.
The computer as you've never felt it before. Introducing the HP TouchSmart PC. And thanks to our friends at HP for being part of our wide open coverage of the Coke Zero 400. This portion of TNT's wide open coverage is brought to you by Coors Light. Ryan Newman, the Daytona 500 winner, caught in the middle lane. Dale Earnhardt has gotten around Kyle Busch at the front of the field. There you see Earnhardt up front, Kyle Busch to 2nd. Ralph, how about that 18?
Well, they got some things to keep their eyes on, Bill. That first set of green flag laps went just 20 laps. They changed tires. I checked on the right front. They said they had lost a big chunk of rubber out of that tire. I asked them about their air pressures. They said they were okay. Should not have been a problem. We're getting close to another 20 sets of green flag laps right about now.
Thanks, Ralph. Top 5 cars trying to break away. See, Tony Stewart has made it to the 4th position. Frost brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. This is getting fun. And now you have to decide if Tony's car won't handle or if it's getting better.
Well, if it's fast, you go with them. And that's what Mark Martin decided. He pulled out and passed Dave Blaney fairly easy. Mark Martin went with him. Now it looks like everybody's going to drop to the bottom.
Marty.
Bill, I think a lot of cars around Tony Stewart are subscribing to Wally's theory. If it's fast, go with it. A lot of guys are talking about how good that 20 car looks, and Tony seems to like that high line. He said in the first run his car was a little bit tight, especially in traffic, but Tony is committed to that high line. Seems like that's where the 20 car works best. Now he needs a couple friends up there with him, right, guys?
Yeah, the only thing that will catch Tony out is if these guys get lined up and they all run the bottom and he keeps running that high line, then he'll be out of line. But right now he's got enough space and a gap that he's running up there high in the corners, even though everybody else is running low, and he can get back in line.
Kasey Kahne from 41st to 6th in that 9 Budweiser car. Have a local break here. Our TNT wide open coverage will continue from Daytona in 90 seconds. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. 42 laps complete in the Coke 0400 here at Daytona. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the race leader. About halfway through a fuel run here.
You know, Kyle, keep looking at these guys, see how they're fanned out. They all wind up in the same spot getting off the corner. Eventually, that's going to catch somebody out.
Yeah, it's got to catch some, especially like Larry said to his keys to the race, especially coming out of 2. You really see it from that camera angle. When they come off the corner and you got one group high, one group on the bottom, one group in the middle, and then boom, they need the whole racetrack to get their cars to turn. So they let it all come out to the corner.
Earnhardt, then Kyle Busch, then Mark Martin. There they go for that same spot.
Yeah, like I said, you have to get up to the wall like Kyle said.
Trouble.
And
Ryan Newman, Daytona 500 winner, is around.
We're good. We're good. We need some tires, Roy. Yellow's out.
Caution flag is out.
26 turned us.
He's got a flat right front right there.
Yeah. But that's just, it's nature of the beast when you got
tires, fuel, guys.
You got guys having
fuel, Ryan. Just get caught up.
Different lines all over the track. You wind up in the same spot. Let's see what we can see here.
Here's a 26 on the bottom.
Yeah, 26 on the bottom.
The 12 in the middle. And the 26 comes up right out next to the wall, just as we were talking about. And he just turns. And that's just where you're at 45 laps on a run, or with 25 or 30 laps on a set of tires.
Yeah, like exactly off the set of tires.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's off of them by that time.
Ryan was running 19th. The lucky dog, as Boris said, he was the only car 1 lap down. He'll come around and be the 41st car on the lead lap. A.J. Allmendinger is out of the race. John Wood 7 laps down. You see Ryan making the trip back to pit road. Rest of the field behind the pace car, down the backstretch. Just past the 1/4 mark of this race. Earnhardt Jr., Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon. That's the top 5.
Panel is fine. Quarter panel's fine.
Then it's Vickers, Kasey Kahne, Travis Kvapil, Matt Kenseth, and Elliott Sadler. The world's hottest sport meets the world's most refreshing beer, Coors Light. And as he said, Coors Light, the official beer of NASCAR. Pit road is open and everybody's coming. You got to watch out for the traffic. You got to hit your marks. And we got to go to Ralph Sheheen.
Well, of course, one of the things they're going to be watching for Kyle Busch is that right front tire. We'll take a look at that. He liked what they did with air pressure adjustments the last time around, so they're going to do more of that, Marty, on this stop.
Tony Stewart had just said his car was just a little bit tight. What they're going to do is 1 round up on the track bar. They're also going to add another piece of tape to the front grille. Same thing they did last time in 4 tires, Matt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in his box, perfect. 4 tires, no changes for Junior. Says the car is neutral, don't want to touch it. He's away, Lindsay.
And the Pit Crew Challenge champion crew team of the 83, Brian Vickers, is over the wall. They're working right now to give him 4 tires. He said he's a little bit loose. Chassis adjustment and fuel for Brian.
Thanks, Lindsay. You see the race off of pit road, won by Kyle Busch. Under caution here in the Coke 0400. Take a 75-second local break. Back to Daytona in 1:15. TNT Sports is at Daytona Beach for the 2008 running of the Coke 0400 at Daytona, powered by Coca-Cola. Still under caution. This portion of TNT's Wide Open coverage brought to you by Subway Restaurants. Now, on pit road, we talked about how tight it is with all these cars still on the lead lap. Here's Dale Earnhardt Jr. You're watching for the 20 of Tony Stewart.
Yeah, these guys just come out at the same time, and you got to get a little bit greedy sometimes when you're leaving the pits, because you know you're trying to use all the space you can. See, the 88's going to hog a little bit more room than he needs, but he knows Stewart's there, and he's got the spot.
Yeah, and the 88 came all the way out to the third lane. You saw the white line there. He came all the way out. A lot of times the driver will come out, land in the middle lane, and then move forward. Something interesting that happened under that pit stop, too, was Kevin Harvick stayed out.
Right.
Tried to lead a lap, didn't beat the pace car back to the start-finish line on the first go-round. Tried to speed up on pit road. You could see him hustling it down pit road and tried to stay on, and still didn't lead a lap. So all he did was lose track position. Yeah. All he did during that round of pit stops was go from up mid-pack to all the way at the back of the pack.
And you saw our pole sitter, Paul Menard, sitting on pit road. His car getting worked on.
But back to the Harvick thing for me, when you look at, you see the quarter panel tore off. He must have had some bad damage. I didn't see this at all.
I didn't either.
But the Harvick thing is, he's looking for those 5 points.
Right.
And this early in the race, he can recover from being 37th and get back into the race. So you got to try to lead those laps under caution at this point in time.
Well, here's how it didn't work for him. Obviously, they were trying. He was 9th in points when he tried that move, and now he's 13th in points.
But that's how important these points are right now. And you think these guys aren't point racing? When you try to lead a race under caution for those 5 points, and you're those guys, it's important. Every point is important.
Coming around to complete lap 47. The Corvette pace car heads for pit road, and Kyle Busch will bring them to the green flag. Earnhardt Jr. in second. Then Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane, Matt Kenseth.
I would say if Tony gets any kind of run going down the backstretch, Earnhardt's going to try to jump out in front of him.
Long history of Earnhardt and Tony working together at these plate races.
Didn't quite have the run I thought he'd get. He's laid back a little bit on that restart.
Boy, he kept his car down on that yellow line, though, didn't he? Right up against the wall out of 4. Top 5 try to break away. Fans, fast food doesn't have to slow you down. Race over to Subway Restaurants today. Subway, race hard, eat fresh. You know Larry could move that fast.
That's a true story, Bill.
Larry looks like a vegetarian. Give me the extra veggies.
51 laps complete. Kyle Busch continues to lead, in this portion of TNT's Wide Open coverage of the Coke Zero 400 is brought to you by Toyota. Now, we saw the damage on the 15 car, and we can watch the leaders here, and I think Lindsay might be able to tell us a little story about the 01. Lindsay?
Bill, the 01 and the 15 cars were both down on pit road, and basically what happened is Regan Smith, the 01, got into the back of Paul Menard in that 15 car. It put a hole in the nose of the 01 car. The 15 was all right. He was able to get back out there. The 01 had to come in for another pit stop, in which they put tape over it to correct the problem.
And do you know where that happened, Lindsay?
I do not know. I know that it happened basically on pit road, but that's what they were told when we ran down there.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yep.
Kevin Harvick driving a little inspired.
Why wouldn't he be inspired? He's always inspired.
No, but it's aggravating when you try to get those bonus points like they did. I mean, they tried to, it's a good move, but when it doesn't work, and then you got to go all the way back. You've done all that for nothing,
Yeah, you're mad.
And then you're mad because the next caution the crew chief says, let's try it again. You know what I mean? And you can't try it.
That's what you're saying. You're breaking up.
Yeah, exactly. But unless, and here's this, and take it from someone who's tried this 20 million times. You got to make sure there's a lot of debris on the racetrack, and it's more than a quickie yellow, or it's more than a real short. When we had that last caution, just because he spun, he kept going. There was nothing on the racetrack. They checked the racetrack, so it's only going to be down for 1, maybe 2 laps. When you try to stay out and lead, you almost have to stay out, sacrifice that next lap by, lead again, and then come in on the 3rd lap.
Matt Yoakum.
And as Kevin Harvick runs in the trap behind the 16 of Biffle, when he made his stop on pit road, they tried improving the handling, the balance of the car. They went down one round on the track bar. It was a little too free for Harvick, but they also made an aero adjustment because he felt like they were just a tick too slow down the straightaways. They added tape to the grill. They could do that because Harvick had told them the water and oil temperatures were at a certain degree range that they knew they would be safe. And a battle for the lead up front.
With Kyle Busch and Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Well, that's ugly, isn't it, Kyle, when you're like that and all of a sudden you look in the mirror and there's nobody behind you and you were the leader?
I can fit in here, though.
Yeah, that is when you get to the corner and you barrel off in there and everybody's behind you, and then you look in the mirror when you come off and nobody's there. It's like, oh my God, what happened to everybody?
So then he gets back in line and goes, okay, I'm back in line. Now I'm going to the bottom.
And they go the other way.
And there they go, fighting for that same spot. Kevin Harvick, by the way, restarted 37th, has worked his way up to 29th. And you hear the fans. Earnhardt leads at Daytona.
You know, the interesting part about listening to put tape on the grill. You put tape on the grill for 2 reasons. One is aero. Obviously, you want to get the aero number to where it needs to be. Sometimes you take tape off because the car runs too hot. Sometimes you have to put tape on to get the car in the operating temperature that it needs to be, because too cold a car won't create horsepower, and too hot a car takes horsepower away. But, you know, these cars, they don't have a great drag number on them. So adding a little bit of tape will help a little bit, but it's not going to help like it did the old cars. The old cars, it would turn these babies free when you added tape to the old cars.
These are pretty much shoeboxes.
These are pretty much what you have is what you get. You know, if you've got a drag number of 3.0 and you put tape on it, now you've got 3.01. You know what I mean? It picks it up just a touch. But it makes you feel better about yourself anyhow.
34th restrictor plate race for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He has led in 27 of the 34. Now let's go behind the scenes with the full-size Toyota Tundra, the truck that's changing it all. Field coming around to complete lap 58 of 160 here in the Coke Zero 400.
You know, we were watching, as you look at this group, as you look at an overview here, you can see how far Tony's fallen back right here. Okay, a minute ago, Tony was vying for the lead here. And we talked a lot of times about choosing the right lane. And for everybody out there, if you've ever sat in traffic and you're at a dead stop and the right lane starts moving, and then you jump in the right lane and it stops and the left lane starts moving, and then you just look at yourself and you think, my God, I just can't get in the right lane today to even make any time going down the interstate. That's the way you feel sometimes as a driver. You choose the inside lane and the outside lane moves. You choose the outside lane and the inside move lanes, and you're just out of rhythm. And Tony has chosen the wrong lane his last 2 moves, which shuffled him from the outside of the top all the way to the inside, 7th or 8th places back.
And another thing about that is when you've got a car like Tony or some of these other cars, these other guys, you want to line up against a guy that's fast.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you've got 10 guys and you guys are pretty good, but you're not the fastest car, and the fastest car is down on the bottom, you know what? You want him to go to the back of the pack. You don't want to race that guy later in the race.
No, it's like any game. When you get a guy down, you want to stand on their neck and not let him back up, because they know if they let Tony Stewart breathe again, he's going to be a factor in this race. And right now, they feel like they've shuffled him out of the rotation. You saw him. He was on the inside. Here he goes back to the inside in turn 3. He was on the inside in turn 3. He went all the way to the top to block the momentum of that outside line going through turn 4. He's all over the racetrack trying to figure out which lane it's going to take for him to get back up to the front.
This portion of TNT's wide open coverage of the Coke Zero 400 brought to you by Warner Brothers' new motion picture, Journey to the Center of the Earth, that's in theaters everywhere July 11th.
I tell you that you can hear that throttle on Tony's car as you look at the telemetry. The 9 car gave him a pretty good shot and the RPMs went up a bunch, and he shot by a bunch of guys just because of the help from the Kasey Kahne car.
Top three trying to break away. A little deeper feel in the field is Jimmie Johnson, and Matt's got a story there.
And his spotter, Stevie Reeves, trying to help work that 48 car to the front. Jimmy, his crew chief, Chad Knaus, a lot of conversation back and forth about how to fix the balance, but also about his line on the racetrack.
Let me ask you a question. When you're going through the corner and those guys are running up high, why are you a half a groove lower than them? In a narrow push? Part of what's opening up the doors, these guys letting us get on us there, just so you know.
Some cases, potentially, but when I run the middle and those guys are spread out, I charge on them at least 2, 3, and 4 and catch them all.
Talking behind you, I think what that does is it's opened up the window for those guys to get those runs because it gives them a bigger hole in front of them, you know?
And you heard that. I think what Jimmy's saying is, I feel comfortable and confident that the middle lane is where I'm making my best time. And what Chad's saying is, you're opening up a hole for them, and they're going around you on the outside every time you go the middle. The middle of this racetrack is really the smoothest part of the racetrack. The bottom is very bouncy and very rough. The top, those guys move up there, but you can almost see as these cars...
Man.
That's close. You can almost see as these guys go through the corner. And just look at the white line where the black pavement comes up to the white wall. You see it going up and down. So it's rough at the top of the racetrack, too.
You see the 77 up there, Hornish, and he's doing a good job. But boy, that car looks awfully loose. I've been watching him getting off the corner, and that, just like that last time, he was loose. Larry, you got something on the 77?
Well, it is a little bit on the free side, Wally, but that car, we were talking about Kasey Kahne in the 9 car. Sam Hornish qualified back in the 42nd position. His crew chief, Chris Carrier, the guys at Penske, same deal as the 9 car. If you can see it right there, they've got that rear end towed out because you talked about these cars being like a shoebox. The side of them is like a piece of plywood. When you get that out in the air, it helps the side force. The car looks like it's loose, but it's got it where you feel like you've got something to lean on. The 9 and the 77, they're having pretty good runs, but they came here focusing on handling.
Looks like the 77's been in the wall once. Yep. But you're right, you can see that thing
Look
going
at that
down
thing.
straightaway. I mean, it is cocked sideways.
See the 3D family event of the summer, Journey to the Center of the Earth, opens in theaters everywhere July 11th. The Chevys of Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mark Martin, and Jeff Gordon. The top 3 cars here at Daytona.
After watching that promo, do you think people live in the center of the earth? Is that why they already had tracks and cars and those carts down there and all that stuff?
You know what? Yeah, the railroad.
Yeah, the railroad thing.
Yeah, they used to be there.
July 11th, you can find out.
I guess I'll have to go see.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
66 laps are complete of 160. Take a local break here for 90 seconds, then back to Daytona. Caution is out. Greg Biffle has brought out the caution after contact on the racetrack, and his car has come to a stop on pit road, and he's going to have trouble getting that anywhere. This portion of TNT's wide open coverage of the Coke Zero 400 brought to you by Coke Zero. It's Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42.
He was just, I think Biffle was trying to use all the racetrack because he needed it, but Montoya was already there.
Yeah, Montoya had a good run coming up out of the corner, and just like we saw coming out of 2 earlier with the 12 car, these guys need the entire racetrack. So when they come off on the bottom, they let the car come all the way to the top, and you saw that Biffle just came up across the hood of the 42 car.
On board with Bobby Labonte.
Lap 70 at the line, yes, 7-0.
And he didn't, and Montoya,
Watch yourself here, keep low, keep low, keep low.
Montoya didn't hook him by much. I mean, that was really, really close, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you think you got a run on a guy, you're going to take that run on the guy on the outside. Biffle was coming up, he was using that racetrack, and Montoya was there. Larry.
Hey, Kyle and Wally, what I was going to say to you guys, that area of the racetrack is a tough call on the spotter. The spotters are right above you guys in the booth, and when you look down toward turn 4, it's hard for that spotter to make that call because they're coming straight at him. The driver's pretty much on his own right there in that area.
That's very true, Larry. I mean, when you look down there, you're right. These cars are coming at you. You don't know if there's 3 inches or 3 feet, which is a big difference between the cars when you're trying to clear somebody.
There you see the car of Tony Stewart. Marty, what's the latest?
Hey guys, Tony just does not feel up to it tonight. I don't think he has asked J.J. Yeley to get his uniform on. It was sort of last minute. They did not plan this. In fact, Greg Zipadelli said, "Are you sure you want to do this? We're really doing this." He said, "Yep, I've already done it on my end, so you better get them ready." And Greg Zipadelli has gotten J.J. Yeley ready behind the pit box. What they're going to do, take care of the driver first. J.J. Yeley getting his Hans device on right now. Take care of the driver first, get Tony out, get J.J. Yeley in. Then they'll likely make a second pit stop, trying to get him better. He said the car's a little bit tight. Obviously, they have a fast car that can win this race. They're going to try to get JJ in as quickly as they can and Tony out as quickly and safely as they can as well.
And thanks, Marty, and the 42 of Montoya to the garage.
Yeah, and this is not going to be as simple as what it used to be. Okay, with the Hans collar, with the helmet, with the fitted seats and all this stuff. And you saw JJ. JJ's got on Smoke's helmet. That way all the radios line up, so that takes all that out of the equation. You know, this is something that used to happen all the time. We saw it in the pre-race show when we did the Pride of NASCAR piece with Marvin Panch and with Richard Petty. And those guys switched. Richard Petty runs half the race, Marvin run half the race. You don't see it. This is something we don't see. We see it very rarely anymore. So this is a big thing.
Here they come. The free pass goes to Sterling Marlin. We go to Ralph.
Bill, at one point, the 17 was so bad, Matt Kenseth said, "I couldn't even hold it wide open, I would wreck." Chip Bull and crew chief continues to make air pressure adjustments and a track bar going down. Marty Snyder, this car's getting better.
Jeff Gordon said he loves his car, Ralph, especially on those long runs. Steve Letarte is going to make an air pressure adjustment on that car. Also, Mark Martin said his car is a little bit too loose down around the track bar. You see inside Tony Stewart's car, he comes out, does not feel well. As we mentioned, J.J. Yeley into the race car. Stewart has all of his belts unbuckled, was ready to get out of the car when they came to a stop here on pit road. Jason Shapiro there helping get buckled in for J.J. Yeley, and a couple of other guys trying to get J.J. buckled into the car. Matt?
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team, no changes for the third straight stop as he brought the field down on the pit road.
And there's a lot more close calls leaving the pits for everybody that time than the last time. I mean, just watching from the booth looking down there, it looked like there's almost 3 wrecks.
Here's what Wally was talking about.
Everybody's diving out and trying to get as much as they can. You see Jimmy Johnson jumped out in front of a bunch of them. Now watch back, even back here where the 5 car is. Harvick's he's got to move over. I mean, it's just crazy.
On board with Gordon.
He's in 4200. Sorry about that.
Look at Kyle Busch try and get that spot.
And the thing is, when you watch those guys on pit road, those guys are leaving their pits and pulling all the way out to the grass and just blocking everything. That's what's causing the jam up behind them. We almost saw the 43 of Bobby Labonte run in the back of those cars, slowing down.
Fans, if one of the Coca-Cola sponsored drivers wins the race, people across the U.S. can visit CokeZero.com through July 13th to receive a coupon for a free 20-ounce bottle of Coke Zero and enjoy the only soft drink that offers real Coke taste and 0 calories. 73 laps are complete, closing in on halfway. We'll go green next time by. Earnhardt Jr. is the race leader. Then it's Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, and Casey Kane, the top 5. Tony Stewart has gotten out of his car. That shot's from a moment ago. Him sitting behind the pit box on pit road. J.J. Yeley, who used to drive for Joe Gibbs Racing, is in the 20 car, the Home Depot ride. He must really feel bad to get out of that car.
Like I said earlier, the biggest thing it's hard to overcome, you know, is the dehydration.
Yes.
If you're dehydrated, that's all you start thinking about.
I'm going to tell you something, though, as they come back green. They did a great job. In about a minute and a half, they changed drivers, got the belts adjusted, hooked him up, got him back in, and sent him back out and changed 4 tires. That's pretty impressive.
This portion of TNT's Wide Open coverage brought to you by HP TouchSmart PC.
Woo! Jimmy Johnson's got a run on Earnhardt, and he's got somebody right on his bumper pushing him.
Kyle Busch. That's 3 Hendrick cars in that lower line, but Johnson goes back to the high line.
Now, John, what do? You just had a guy help you get to the lead. Do you hang him out to drive like you just did?
Yeah, hang him out and go get you two teammates right there, because that's 48, 88, and 24.
And a little shove down the backstretch from Earnhardt. 88 drifts high, tries to tuck back in.
Look at these guys. They go in on the bottom, go up like they're going to help somebody, and then turn left and go right back down.
I thought Earnhardt was going to get caught in the middle there.
And there, the 88 pushing the 48.
Down below the yellow. That was awfully close. Denny Hamlin down on the bottom, trying to get underneath Casey Kane in that 9 car.
Look at that 11 car bounce. You talk about Denny. Denny stuck it down right there on the yellow line, but that thing just bounced through turns 1 and 2.
I don't think he had much of a choice.
No, he had to stay,
man. Put down there.
Yeah.
We've got J.J. Yaley in the 20 car, scored 33rd.
And, you know, we talked early in the race, you know, about these guys starting with no practice.
Whoa!
Here's J.J. Yaley in a car he's never been in, and he's thrown into the middle of the race.
Oh!
Jimmy Johnson all over the place.
Well, that's where you got to be careful on your mirror driving, because you start doing that stuff, you can hook yourself on some of these rear bumpers, spin yourself out.
That's right. Block me once, shame on me. Block me twice like that, man. He's going to send him out through the infield. You saw the 17 car just give the 24 car a massive shove down the short chute there, off into turn 1.
Teammates for the lead, Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. Earnhardt has to pick a teammate. Goes with the Lowe's Chevy. And those are teammates from Joe Gibbs Racing behind them, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. You were saying something about teammates earlier tonight, weren't you? Sometimes it works, and
sometimes it doesn't. Yep. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you can't run where your teammates are running. I think that's probably why Gordon went to the top. I don't think he was real comfortable down there on the bottom.
Now Earnhardt looking for help.
It's like, you know, when you're in this position, and we heard Jeff say earlier, and I know these are on new tires, but we heard him say earlier, when I go in the corner, I have to ease out of it because my car's a little free. Man, you're looking in the rearview mirror saying, who is going to bump me as I go into this corner? And I'm going to roll out, and I'm a little free. It takes your breath. There, 24 goes back to the bottom where he felt safe. And early in the race, you know, he said, this thing's perfect on the bottom. I think he felt like the 48 was holding him up a little bit.
Yeah, but I think
I thought he was going to the bottom.
Part of the conversation.
So I think he tried to get a run on him there, Kyle, and hoping that he could clear him getting off turn 4, but he just didn't have enough.
That was Jeff Gordon, and you remember Jimmy said he likes that middle groove, that half a lane down.
You see those guys, that 24 car makes some time in and through the center of 1 and 2. His car is working on the bottom of the racetrack. Jimmy was in the middle, but he just drifts up a little bit and loses 2 or 3 positions.
Gordon leads the computer as you've never felt it before, introducing the HP Touch Smart PC. Halfway in the Coke 0400, Jeff Gordon is the race leader. His teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. right behind him. Denny Hamlin runs third. You know, Kyle, you were talking about these guys get a couple of chances to work on their cars. Field's going to tighten up.
And it is tightening up. Every time they've had a caution, the field has gotten tighter and tighter. There's more guys that have joined this first pack. We see this right after a restart. And we're seeing guys up in this first pack who haven't been up in there. Sorry about that. I was getting ready to say something about Truex in the 1 car, and I get all choked up here. The 1 car's up in there all of a sudden. You know, we've got guys that are up in there flirting with the top 10. And I want to go back to the 20 story for 1 minute here. All right. The 20 car is being driven by J.J. Yaley. Tony Stewart gets the points for that. Right. Okay? So now the J.J. is strictly point racing. It's not his job to be a hero and win the race. It's his job to come out of this race with as many points as possible. And that's his only job, is to stay out of trouble and get as many points as possible.
But what a story it would be. This portion of TNT's Wide Open coverage is brought to you by Coors Light. Frost brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. And you saw Kyle Busch drop off the pace, come below the yellow line to the apron, now trying to get a feel for his race car.
Whoa, that was a save, and a very good one, I may add.
You're not kidding.
He got down on the apron and just had to regroup there, Ralph. That was a great save.
Oh, he's got a bit of a problem, Wally. The steering wheel is off, he says. It feels very, very weird. Kind of hard to drive a race car when the steering wheel's not attached.
Oh, man. You do not want that anywhere.
Not attached. What does that mean?
I think when you mean off, you mean like the toe is off. Not that it's physically off.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure I understand that. I mean, and we've seen these guys who, somebody had trouble earlier in the year that the power steering went out and they started catching. It was like there was air in the line and it would start and then turn and not turn.
Ralph, you got some more?
Yeah, I didn't mean it was physically disconnected from the steering column. But yes, the steering is off. It wasn't aligned properly. I don't know if he was able to adjust it back himself. He said it felt extremely weird, and that's why he's not going up to full speed just yet.
Larry Mack?
Hey, Kyle, you're spot on. Joe Gibbs Racing early in the year had a lot of power steering problems. Now, they made some changes. The manufacturer made some changes. So I just wonder if maybe something's going on with his power steering.
Yeah, and that's good. I'm glad you remembered that, because I just remembered somewhere that they had, and it's when the power steering fluid either breaks down or the pump is turning too fast or too slow, and you get fluid in it, or you get air up into it. Then what happens is it'll catch and then it'll turn and then not turn, turn and not turn, turn and not turn, and then if you start snatching on it and moving on it, you never know where the front tires are going to be.
Well, if that's the case, and that's what's happening, he better stay right there.
Yeah, he doesn't need to
be in the middle of that.
No, you don't need to be going in under somebody and turn the wheel, and then it locks up. And it's almost like your car just locks up the steering wheel, and it won't go any farther to the left.
And Kyle, you know what we'll do here to try to slow that power steering pump down just a little bit is we put a much bigger pulley on it, just trying to slow it down, the flow of the fluid, just a little bit.
But that deal wasn't because of that. That deal because he got turned.
Yeah, he got turned to the apron. He did a great job driving that thing into the corner on the flat.
Remember Thomas Neva wrecking on the pace laps at the Indianapolis 500? Yep. Trying to fix the steering wheel. 90-second local break back to Daytona in 90. TNT's wide open coverage of the Coke Zero 400, powered by Coca-Cola, continues from Daytona Beach, Florida. 7 laps past halfway of this 160-lap 400-mile event. Jeff Gordon is the race leader, followed by Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, and David Gilliland up to 5th. Now teammates try to break away, but those guys are going to catch them. The deeper you get into this race, the more racy the drivers get. Larry?
I'm surprised you can't see the grin on Mark Martin's face from the booth, because when you think about it, he qualified second. He's sitting there running fourth, and you know what? He's looking out the windshield seeing his 3 teammates for 2009.
That's right. Announced here yesterday that Mark will drive for Hendrick Motorsports for the next 2 years, the entire schedule, and try and chase down the championship that has eluded him for so many years here in the Sprint Cup Series. The world's hottest sport meets the world's most refreshing beer. Frost brewed Coors Light, the official beer of NASCAR. Top 5 single file. The 4 Chevys hit the front. Then Gilliland in a Ford. Trying to get some help from David Reagan. That AAA sponsorship up the hill. Is that Matt Kenseth? Yes.
Matt Kenseth got a little bit out of shape there, and it took the whole racetrack for him to catch it.
Carl Edwards in the Aflac Ford. Roush Fenway. There's a push from Casey Kane. Up and out Matt a little bit. Then he dives low, and we'll try and hook up with Elliott Sadler. Here's what we were looking at a minute ago.
Watch his 17. Oh, let me catch it. Let me catch it. Let me catch it. Then he catches it. And just when you catch it, the 9 car runs in the back of you and knocks you by everybody. Now, how confident can you be going into turn 3 after you just caught it in turn 4 or turn 2?
But the 9 did that so he could get by him.
Yes.
You know what? I'm going to push you by these guys on the bottom, and then I want to get away from you.
This portion of TNT's wide open coverage of the Coke Zero 400 brought to you by Papa John's, the place Kyle was supposed to stop by when he was in the pace car, but failed to deliver.
Buster took the keys. Gilliland down there on the bottom 38. He's been running pretty good up there. not getting a whole lot of help, but maybe the 6 car, Reagan will help him out a little bit. He jumped up in the high line.
And that 6 car, David Reagan, he's just been here all night long. But he was really excited about his car. When you go back to qualifying, he just thought he had a great car.
Have you ever seen him when he's not excited?
No, he's just look, he's just happy to be in a race car. He is a true, he's like Tony in a lot of ways. He just wants to drive.
And the only guy happier than David Reagan at the racetrack is his dad.
Oh, yeah.
Ken Reagan.
Oh, yeah, and his little brother, Adam. I mean, just what a great family, man.
Saw his brother Adam walking around the garage area here earlier in the week, just like he owns the place, you know? Just as happy as can be, shaking everybody's hand, saying hello. Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin. David Gilliland behind Gordon and Earnhardt Jr. Rick Hendricks got some tough decisions to make watching these races, doesn't he? Okay, who am I going to root for here? Well, I can't root for anybody. I got the 4 guys running at the front. What's going to happen on the last lap?
Maybe we should just send a camera crew to follow him to see which pit box he sets on. Do you sit on the 24 pit box while he's leading, and then you go to the 88? Here's the 18 coming back.
Wow.
Our director, Mike Wells, will find that out with our great RF camera guys down on pit road.
There you go. This 18's on a mission. I mean, he drove into turn 3, or was turned into turn 3, you know, a few laps ago on the flat. And you don't know, and you know it, Wally. You're used to that bank holding you, and all of a sudden you're facing the infield, and you're on the flat. There's not enough tire in the world to hold you. He did a great job hanging on to that thing on the flat.
There are the 4 Chevys up front. Race fans looking for a little adventure this summer? Try Papa John's Adventure Trio. 3 medium, 3 topping pizzas for $7 each. Jeff Gordon continues to lead. There you see Mark Martin has lost a position or 2 here, trying to get a push from Denny Hamlin. We're talking about what happened to Kyle Busch. He went from 3rd to 37th on lap 82. Currently runs 25th 10 laps later. Back up front, Jeff Gordon, followed by Earnhardt. We check with Marty Snyder.
Look at those guys playing so nicely at the front of the field, Bill. The teammates lining up together. Jeff Gordon said this car is just outstanding. There you see, bottom right hand of the screen, Rick Hendricks and Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s pit, though. Gordon probably feels a little slighted, but the car has been terrific. Yesterday in practice, or Thursday in practice, their fastest lap 34 of a 35-lap run on the same tires. They're very good, especially at the end of these runs. Gordon very happy. Right behind him, his teammate, and Matt's going to talk about Dale Jr.
Marty, Rick Hendricks strolling from all of his Hendrick pits. He just stopped at the 88. Sometimes it's all about location, location, location. Right behind the 88 pit stall is a huge Sprint Vision big screen where he can watch all of the action. If you take a look back, though, at the 88 car, his car almost perfect all night. Pretty much like that paint scheme. Hendrick Motorsports a few years ago was the first to go to clear coating all the decals, just trying for any extra little edge. But this camo paint scheme, it is all paint, stenciled in. They spent 2 entire days making this paint job almost perfect.
See if that pays off. So now you know where Rick is, at least right now.
Yeah, that didn't pay off. The King and them clear-coated their car in 74.
Really?
Yeah.
And what happened that day?
I think they blew off or something. So, but they've been doing it forever.
Pretty.
It is
They're
pretty.
real pretty.
It's very pretty. That 38 car is still hanging on.
I was just gonna, yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you something. Down there in 3 and 4 a minute ago, when we were getting here in the pit report, that thing jumped sideways and he went straight to the top of the racetrack.
This portion of TNT's Wide Open coverage brought to you by Toyota, Ralph,
Well, that 38 is very fast. In fact, David Gilliland was very excited about this race car in race trim. He was really looking forward to tonight's competition. The car's been getting a little bit freer. It's still very fast. They put 4 tires and fuel on it in the last stop, went 1 round down on the track bar, and they're looking for big things here tonight, Bill, because as you know, Yates Racing could really use a good boost of momentum right now.
And how about the job he did at Sonoma?
Yeah. Excellent
Right
job.
around long lap.
And they did a nice job on Jimmy Johnson that lap, too.
Yes.
I mean, he slid up on the outside of him coming off of turn 4, and Jimmy gave him enough room. But Jimmy had to give him the spot, and he lost a little bit there. But, yeah, that 38 car's flying right now.
Yeah, the one thing, though, is that 24 and that 88, they're on rails. Their cars don't bounce around a lot. They kind of stay. They've made adjustments. That 38 is fast, but that thing will bounce around. That 48 is fast, and that thing bounces around. We've already seen the 11 be all over everywhere, but the 8 car is pretty good. So out of the top 4 or 5 cars, even though the 38 is making some progress up through there, as you see him go to the bottom of the racetrack here, you know, I'm not sure his car handles as good as those other cars do.
I don't think he cares. I mean,
No, he doesn't care.
I mean, he's going down there and passing these guys without any help either.
I thought that was Todd Parrott a minute ago that just said, hey, just log some laps. And the next time you hear him say log some laps, he tries to pass 3 people.
The 20 Home Depot Toyota is currently running in the 28th spot. It's being driven by J.J. Yaley. Driver change, Tony Stewart taken out of the car. The report from the infield that Tony is being treated for flu-like symptoms.
Okay, now here's where something's going to happen, because they look up, they don't have their teammate in 3rd spot anymore. So they got to figure they're going to have to do something. That 38's going to go with someone. He's chosen the 88 car as he gives him a bump right down the backstretch into 3.
This is for the lead, just past lap 100. And here comes Johnson to help out Gordon. Can he get there? No.
Gordon's in trouble if they all decide to line up on the outside as Mark Martin dropped down on the bottom.
But it's amazing how these top 3 or 4 guys were maybe 5 or 6 car lengths in front a few minutes ago, and then they start racing and everybody catches back up.
Jimmy Johnson sideways between 1 and 2. I know it doesn't look like much at home, folks, but I'm telling you what, when a car gets out of shape like that at Daytona, that is big sideways.
Oh, that's huge sideways. That's more sideways than teacups at Disney. Let me say that, okay? That's sideways.
This went from a Saturday night cruise to rush hour traffic.
On the old tires, too. Remember, these guys are getting bunched back up, and their tires don't have the grip in them that they had before.
30 laps on their tires. For the latest on Toyota's drivers and racing information, visit toyota.com/pitpass. Toyota, moving forward. And speaking of Tony Stewart, here's Marty Snyder.
Well, guys, just checked with Mike Arning, the team representative for Tony Stewart, and that gang. They do have Tony already hooked up to another IV, and they're treating him, as you said, Weber, for flu-like symptoms. They do expect him to be in the infield care center for the rest of this race, so likely we will not be able to talk to Tony, and we certainly hope he does feel better. J.J. Yaley inside the car. They're just trying to get acclimated out there, but obviously they have a very fast car trying to get him to the front, Bill.
Thanks, Marty. 37 cars on the lead lap. David Rudiman is 5 laps down. Sterling Marlin 6 down. John Wood 7 down. Juan Montoya has returned to the track 24 laps down. Greg Biffle out of the race. A.J. Allmendinger 62 laps down after an on-track incident.
Hey, let's give Tony a little bit of a nod, too, here. He came and did pre-race for us here in Turner. In our pre-race show, and he felt like jumping, but he committed to come do it.
Make 115 on the track, pit road 115.
Last time a relief driver was used was Ricky Rudd at Dover in June of 2006 for Tony. And that was after a hard crash at Charlotte, wasn't it?
I don't know. That's good though. Yeah. Maybe he had it. Is that when he hurt his shoulder or whatever?
Right.
Yeah, that may be one. I relieved for Harvick somewhere at Bristol or someone. I don't even know when that was. That shows you how smart I am.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to think. When you said 2006, I'm trying to think. Man, what year was that?
We got our best guy working it right now. Go get it, Russell. This portion of TNT's wide open coverage of the Coke Zero 400 brought to you by our friends at Sprint.
Hamlin up in the 4th spot, trying to make something happen, and there's Ryan Newman Daytona 500 winner joins a fight in 6 spots.
And the last time we saw him, he was like going backwards or something through the grass.
Tell you what, Jimmie Johnson keeps leaving that high line open coming off of 4, and he's losing a lot of spots there.
Just as Chad said earlier, why are you running in the middle of the racetrack? But Jimmy feels comfortable.
Yeah, I think his spotter was a little late.
That's Ryan. And what he was saying was, I think Jimmy's spotter was a little late on that call right there. Ryan's car looks really good. Ryan's car looks good over the bumps, and that's important here.
107 laps are complete. Be back in less than 90 seconds after this local break. TNT's wide-open coverage of the Coke Zero 400 is powered by Coca-Cola. The caution is out at the Daytona International Speedway. Elliott Sadler coasting to the apron and to the grass.
Seems like we get right to this spot where these guys have run all these laps on these tires, and you want to make it to this part, Kyle, without being the caution.
Yeah, exactly.
Because right one's going to blow on somebody's car.
This is the longest we've run on tires. Watch his 77. He never turns a wheel.
Wow,
never turns the wheel and avoids the wreck. He just stayed the course, and I mean, that was good. But I mean, Elliott had no warning of this. You see it just blow the right front fender off the car when the tire comes apart. That's a hard hit.
There's Elliott. To the infield carriage center for the mandatory checkup. Pit road is closed. David Rudiman is the lucky dog. He will come around and be just 4 laps down. Fans, get ready for NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile from Sprint, only on the Now Network. Just 50 laps from the finish here at Daytona. 110 are complete. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the race leader. He started 3rd. David Gilliland is in 2nd. He started 27th. David's best super speedway finish, 4th at Talladega in April of last year. Ryan Newman has worked his way to 3rd. Then it's Jeff Gordon and Denny Hamlin, the top 5. When Rudiman comes around, there will be 38 cars on the lead lap. So you can't get to the end from here.
What'd you say? You can't?
Cannot.
Cannot.
No.
But if you get a caution here and you stay out,
you're still on really ugly tires.
Thank you.
Really, really ugly tires. And we've said, you know, that's the closest we've gotten to a green flag stop right there. And somebody had trouble. And I'm telling you something, when they come down pit road and these pit reporters and they start looking at tires, they're going to see some ugly tires down there in a few minutes.
Marty?
Bill, a little bit of panic from Jeff Gordon. He said that all of a sudden either the engine's breaking or something is wrong. They're out of fuel because the fuel pressure gauge is showing nothing. Steve Letarte doesn't seem too worried about it. Jeff Gordon awfully worried about it, though. They're going to hit pit road here and hope this thing refires, but it's fine, I believe. Ralph?
37 cars going to come down pit road. Every time they've pitted, the traffic's gotten a little bit worse. Ralph Shaheen.
David Gilliland's car was a little tight early in the run. They're going to make some air pressure and chassis adjustments to this car. He was a little afraid he wasn't going to be able to hang on to track position, Marty.
Well, Gordon said the car is terrific when it's in traffic. It's a little too tight, but a little too loose when he's out by himself. The car is under power for Jeff Gordon. They're going to put a fuel tank of fuel in at 4 tires, Matt.
Tony Eury Jr. making an air pressure change, just a half a pound, trying to keep up with the racetrack as it goes. The pressure's built up a little too much on the last stop. Junior's away. Lindsay.
And Matt, the crew of Denny Hamlin working on the left side of the car. They said that it's a little bit snug for Denny, so their choice for tires and air pressure adjustment. His crew chief said stop short. Let's leave ourselves an out on pit road.
Wow, that's a lot of traffic, and Jimmie Johnson almost got Jeff Gordon again. You saw the race off of pit road. We'll sort out the running order. Going to take a 1-minute, 25-second local break. You're watching the Coke Zero 400 live on TNT. TNT's wide-open coverage of the Coke Zero 400, powered by Coca-Cola, continues on a perfect night for racing from Daytona. And this portion of TNT's wide-open coverage is brought to you by Subway Restaurants and Heartbreak for David Gilliland. We told you, You got to be good on the track, and you got to be good on pit road. David Gilliland came in second, and here's what happened. Heading for his pit stall.
And, ran over the hose, or ran over the line.
Right.
Didn't really run over the hose, but.
And he was just on the line by about 2 inches.
And you know what? Oh, man, that's so easy to do. Got the adrenaline pumping. You're coming in. You're running second. You're looking for a good run. The team needs it. And you make a mistake in pit lane. And, I mean, there's nobody that feels worse right now than Gilliland, and winds up 14th after that pit stop.
And we saw the 24 and the 48 get bottled up at the end of pit road again.
The 24 leaving his pit stall was it's incredible. You see the in-car when he leaves his pit stall here. Well, watch it. Here he leaves his pit stall. You see him pull out to the line. Oh, there's the 12 right beside of him. Now he's right at the 12's left rear corner. You see the 48. Bam, he has to lock it up. And look at the 12. The 12 just blasts away from him because the 12's able to maintain pit road speed, and he all but runs all over the 48.
But not that, you don't want to be in the spot Jeff Gordon was going down pit road, because you got nowhere to avoid. You can't turn right to the grass.
You can't turn right, you can't turn left, because there's people everywhere.
Right now, 3 cars have not stopped. The 99 of Carl Edwards has led a lap. Patrick Carpentier runs in second. Joe Nemechek in third. They have not stopped under this caution. They're thinking about it now.
Oh, yeah. There's
thinking,
no thinking about it.
Yeah, they're coming. What are you talking about thinking?
I'm teeing you up.
Okay, there you go, man.
I don't think the guy in 9th right now probably has much steering issues any longer. Because if he did, he wouldn't be sitting where he's at, I don't believe.
18 of Kyle Busch. Reported a steering problem after getting hit from behind.
If I got hit like he got hit and turned down on the apron, I would tell him how good my steering was because I was able to catch it.
Lindsay?
You guys are talking about the 11 and the 18. Actually, they've used this time during the caution. Mike Ford, Denny Hamlin's crew chief, suggested that he get on the radio and talk to Kyle to just make sure everything is cool. So that's what they've done. Denny came back and said, yeah, Mike, I talked to him. You know, we discussed what the issue was, and basically Kyle thought that it was his fault. So all is good in the Joe Gibbs camp right now.
Robbie Gordon's sitting there, too. He's sitting in the 10th spot right there after starting 37th in this race.
And David Gilliland, who had that problem on pit road, now scored in the 11th position. Who will represent your team in the Major League Baseball All-Star Game? Find out exclusively on the 2008 Major League Baseball All-Star Game Selection Show, presented by Chevy at 2 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Cubs and Cardinals. That's tomorrow only on TBS.
And the Gibbs organization must have the capability to talk from car to car to car.
They do.
I know I can talk to Bobby. When I'm driving the 45 car, we can talk back. So obviously these two drivers, back to the teammate issues. Obviously the 11 doesn't want the 18 to be mad at him if it comes down to the end of the race. They want to be able back on team orders.
Right.
So they've worked it out under caution.
Getting ready to come back to green here in about a quarter of a lap. Real quickly, the Chick-fil-A charity ride begins a week from tomorrow.
A week from tomorrow, we're leaving Traverse City, Michigan, headed over to Elkhart Lake, and then over to the Harley-Davidson Museum, and we're excited about that. End up in Savannah about a week later on our off week.
And you can follow that online at
Chick-fil-A Charity Ride. Chick-fil-A Kyle Petty CharityRide.com, the longest name of any charity event in the world.
Go to NASCAR.com. I'll point you in the right direction.
NASCAR.com. That's good.
Earnhardt leads. Green is in the air. 46 laps from the finish.
A little surprised Reagan pulled out there first, but then I saw who was behind him, and you figure, you know, he's going to go with somebody. Hey, you don't want to stay in line.
I don't know if Reagan pulled out to say, I'm going to block you or please push me, one or the other. You saw the 24 get into the bump into the 88, and then that 38 bump them both and bump them all the way up to the front of the line.
Lindsay.
Well, you guys talking before about fuel mileage. Denny Hamlin, we know, is going to come up about 6 laps short. So obviously they will be looking for that caution. Denny, remember, led 32 laps at the Daytona 500, had a pit road incident, ended up finishing finishing that race 17th. Right now, he's very, very comfortable with his car, just trying to work the right line.
Now, I just want to point out a handful of cars did come in and top off. McMurray, Sorensen, Regan Smith, Kurt Busch, Michael Waltrip, Matt Kenseth, Dave Blaney, Michael McDowell, and Boris said all did top off on lap 113 before we went green.
And let's point out that those guys have not been in the race all night long.
Right.
And what I mean by that is not been in the top 15. Kenseth is the only guy who's run up there and been a factor as far as in the top 5 or 10. But any of those other names that you just mentioned, they're playing a different strategy or playing a different game right now because they know they can't get up here and run with these guys.
David Gilliland has worked his way back up there.
He's got a fast race car, so I don't, you know, you were going to hold him down just because of a bad pit stop. Which is not surprising for Yates to have a fast race car at Daytona.
No. And that 6 car, he's hanging in there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, David is doing a great job in that 6 car.
He was running second. Now we might lose that to Earnhardt.
He needs a 6 car needs a little bit of help. He needs a teammate up there to work with. Ralphie.
Well, I just talked to crew chief Jimmy Fennick about the fuel situation on the 6 car, and he smiled and said, "We're right there." So they might be in a really good position with this 6 car all the way around.
I'll tell you what, he just gave the 88 a shot, and that shot put him in the lead.
You know, at a place where you run wide open around the racetrack, and you heard it, you can't save your guy anything. Even if you're running in the draft, you're not saving him any fuel.
You hear the cheers, Matt, for car 88.
Back out front, and as he was leaving pit road on the last stop, Tony Eury Jr. said, "Try to save me as much fuel as you can. Did you hear me?" And Dale Jr. said, "Yes, sir." And then he said, "Should I go ahead and just start shutting it off and coast?" Remember, back at Michigan, that's a technique that Dale Jr. used to get enough fuel to go to victory lane. Tony said, "No, just watch your throttle. I don't think shutting it off is going to help us as much as we would need."
Yeah, well, obviously he's listening to Tony Eury because he's leading the thing, and you can't save any fuel leading. You know what I'm saying?
You're using more lead.
You're using more because you're pushing the train, or you're pulling this train. You're pushing the majority of the air. At least when you're behind somebody, the way these cars are, they're disrupting the air enough that it lets your car flow through. That's what the draft is all about.
The 88's using more gas than anybody out there right now.
That's exactly right. The guy running 15th or 20th in line is using the least amount of fuel.
And those are some of the guys that topped off.
One of those cars, the 20 car of Yaley.
Weather's getting a big push from the 6 there, 1 back.
Yaley last stopped on 111. He was not one that topped off.
But he's in about the right position when they're running 2 and 3 wide. You catch those cars running 2 wide in front of you, you save a ton of fuel because they're disrupting it a lot.
Oh, here we go.
Finally.
Yep,
38 must have got it. Oh,
Jeff Burton is around, second in the championship standings. Cars diving for pit row.
That's a great job by a lot of people right there.
Guys, I'm coming on your inside. You're clear to pit road.
Just want to work in here real quick. We were talking about J.J. Yaley.
No, it didn't hit anything.
He is relief driving for Tony Stewart in that Home Depot Toyota. All right, let's go back and look, see what we got. David Gilliland, the 38.
He just got loose on that bump and went to catch it, and unfortunately, actually, Newman got away with it.
Newman, that thing bounced off the wall, and then you saw the 5 car evidently got in the back. But you see, just like the 31 said, you heard Burton say, "I really didn't hit anything," and he didn't. The thing slid just straight as a shot down that short chute. It dug the left front end, but you see this car bounce and then take off. Bounce sideways, boom, up the racetrack. Newman had no place to go. But look at the front of Newman's car. It's just perfect, man. It's like nothing happened to the front of his car.
He did hit it pretty good with the right rear.
Side.
Yeah.
But when the car bounced off the left of Newman's, see, he's turned. He got turned right there.
I believe Vickers got into him on that one.
Okay, well, you saw it just get turned because it's easy, boom. It moves to the left. And that's not you braking. That's somebody running in the back of you and turning you.
And that could have been a lot bigger.
Yeah, that was at the front of the field.
Yep.
Kyle said it, everybody did cars went down the pit road.
It's Jeff Burton in the 31. See,
yeah, that is Vickers. That's Vickers. Yep. And just barely turn, just barely.
Pit road is open. The cars are there. Here's Ralph.
Well, they're going to make a gamble on the 6 car. 2 tires and fuel. Jason Riggs, the gas man, has to make sure he gets everything in. Marty Snyder, they're going for track position.
Steve Letarte considered 2 tires for Jeff Gordon, decided for 4 tires instead. He said the handling will be too important at the end of this run. Half a round of wedge out, trying to loosen this car up, Matt.
Not taking a chance on the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Tony Eury Jr. calls for 4 tires. Small little hiccup on the left front. He is away. Lindsay.
Matt, they talked about 5 seconds difference between fuel and tires. Hamlin also going for track position, 2 tires and fuel, and he's away.
I'll tell you what, every time Jimmy Johnson comes out of his pit, he darn near runs into somebody.
He goes straight to the grass, man, and I don't care if you're on his right side or not. He's going to run into you.
Under caution at Daytona, this is a 90-second local break. You're watching the Coke 0400 live on TNT. TNT's wide open coverage of the Coke 0400, powered by Coca-Cola, continues at Daytona. That was our last local break, so our wide open coverage will take you all the way to the checkered flag here at the Daytona International Speedway. And remember, a week from tonight, we're at the Chicagoland Speedway right here on TNT. And this is what Wally's and Kyle and everybody basically is watching at the end of pit road, looking for Jimmy Johnson here in the 48 low Chevy.
Yeah, he comes screaming out there, almost gets into Harvick. Got a pretty good shot from the Harvick car. And Jimmy Johnson's not doing anything wrong. It's just that he's not in the greatest pit stall in the world. It seems like every time he wants to come out, there's a lot of traffic. That's just,
yeah.
What you got to do?
That's what you got to do. He's just, when they drop the jack, he's taking off, and he's trying to get as much as he can. And he's not doing anything wrong. But that's where picking a pit stall is so important.
They won't pick that one again.
They won't pick that one. They'll mark that one off their list.
126 laps are complete. Be 33 to go when they get back to the line. Still working the caution here at Daytona. Michael Waltrip and Boris Said have not pitted. We'll sort this out in a second. Let's check with Ralph.
Bill, they spent a lot of time going over the replays down here in the 6th pit. NASCAR has said the ruling is called non-compliant fueling. David Reagan is going to have to come back down pit road because catch can man Richie Davis did not have the catch can in the car as they were finishing off the fueling. So when they bring the car back down, they're going to now put left side tires on the car as well, top off the fuel, and get it back out. But Jimmy Fennick, crew chief, not happy about this.
Yeah, I'm sure Jimmy's not happy about it because all this pit position he loses. But we saw this a couple of weeks ago when the team dropped the catch can. The catch can has to be in the car. You see it's in the car right there. And he's motioning go, go, go for what? He's still in the car. Nope.
Oh, he pulled out. He pulled out just a second earlier than the.
Yeah, when he pulled the can out, and it's got to be in there the whole way because that's the safety of these systems.
And you know why the gas man went back? Because the crew chief said, pack it full.
Pack it in there. And that's why they were just. That's why when he was waving his hand, what he was basically waving his hand for it was to say, it's coming out, it's coming out, it's coming out. You're packing it in here. And then when he should have pulled out, or he should have either taken a step forward. But I mean, that's just that's a judgment call. That's a judgment call. It's full. I mean, and he's got 4 tires now. He's starting at the back, so he's got 4 tires.
And Larry, these guys aren't just thinking about getting to 160 at this point, right?
No, I mean, right now they're good to go.
Right.
They're good to go even if you have a green-white checker. But Bill, the one thing I want to point out is I think we're coming to the green flag. Boris Said, who's leading this race, he's one of the cars that you mentioned that topped off with the 1 to go on the 4th caution at lap 113, which is 47 laps to go. Boris Said is here for one thing and one thing only, and it's not about points. It's about trying to win a race.
I thought you were going to say it's about the party.
But,
well, that too if he wins the race.
But Larry, I don't you agree though? I mean, he may be fine broke for a little while, but once you start running laps on these tires, the tires are going to be the story. I mean, that's going to be what you got to have at the end of this race.
Oh, I think they're probably going to chew him up, Wally, because he's sitting there with 10 laps on his tires right now. But you know his crew chief, Frankie Stoddard, he is definitely a gambler.
Oh yeah. I was pulling for Michael. Michael was out there. He's a Coke Zero driver. I was pulling for him to win everybody a Coke.
Speaking of that, this portion of TNT's wide open coverage of the Coke Zero 400 is brought to you by Coke Zero. Be 32 to go when they cross the line. Pace car to pit road. Everybody good to go to the finish.
And I believe poor Boris isn't going to have many friends here to begin with.
Boris got just good enough jump that they'll just draft up on him and pull out on him right there.
And nobody will go with Boris.
Block him, Boris.
3 wide.
And remember, Boris was on older tires, so as his car skated up, they went to the inside. And poor Hamlin was on the outside.
See you, Boris. David Rudiman was the lucky dog under the last caution. There are 35 cars on the lead lap. Rudiman is 3 laps down.
Man, 29 cars got to run.
David Gilliland is in the garage.
Oh, wow.
Now, the one thing that happens after a pit stop, and I want to watch all this that goes on here. These guys are nose to tail, and they really got a good restart. These top 5 or 6 guys are good 15, 20 car lengths away from this pack that we're watching right now. Okay, but in the amount of time that we have left, and this is a place where late in the race, or unlike other places where we preach track position, track position, track position, these guys can work their way back to the front.
And this is usually where we start to have more cautions in the race, too.
Oh, yes.
And also the guys at the front are the guys that really have been the class of the field so far tonight.
Yeah, not a lot of that's changed. You know, there's not been guys that have been up there that shouldn't have been up there. I mean, we saw the 12 car. He's back here at the back because he was caught up in that accident. But he's about the only guy that's back here in the pack that hadn't, or that's been to the front and is not up there right now.
Did you wish your dad happy birthday this week?
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday on the 2nd.
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
wow.
Keep it down there.
That's incredible.
Oh, he's trying to keep, he's on the gas, trust me. I
Nice
can't believe
job.
how many one-car accidents we are seeing at these super speedways. It's amazing.
You know, we as drivers all complain about how bad these things drive, but we all avoid wrecks with them. When somebody else wrecks, you just drive around the wrecks.
Tell you what, that was impressive. I think we'll watch the 26. Just tries to sneak up in front of Vickers. Vickers was there. Just another one of those close calls on somebody saying, you know what, you're clear when you're not.
Yeah, and that's, once again, that's a hard place. Just as Larry said earlier, coming out of turn 4, it's hard to clear somebody. Going away from you into turn 1, and this is right in the short chute, going away from where the spotters are, and it's hard to clear somebody.
Yeah, and you're that was just really, really tight, and you're in the shadows.
Oh, and the one car did a great job. He just held his line.
He stood on the gas.
He's in the gas. He's out in the dirt.
He does not want to go back up that banking in front of all these cars.
This is Tony Stewart's prelude to the dream right here. Watch him gas it up right here. Stands right back in the gas. Look at that thing spin.
He's in the cushion.
Defending champion of this race.
Oh, and he got into him. I can't. Who was that?
Truex. I think it's Truex in the one car.
Digging into him hard, but
no.
man, it's unbelievable that he didn't take a bunch of cars with him.
Because Truex could have got into him, and instead of the 26 spinning down across the racetrack, he would have spun back up the racetrack, and then it would have blocked the first corner. Because then you have guys going up the bank and coming back down the bank.
Or he could have flipped him. That's a good way to flip a guy.
Oh yeah. You see the official here talking to him, making him check their roof flaps right there.
Ralph.
Well, we're down here with Steve Addington, crew chief for Kyle Busch. Boy, Steve, you've had an eventful night tonight. Is this car good enough now to get to the finish and a win?
I think so. I just got, you know, that's the way it is. You got to just position yourself to be in a good spot there at the end on that last lap. But he did an awesome job saving us a race car on the back stretch there. See if we can get this Interstate Batteries Toyota Camry and Victory Lane for Norm Miller and all those guys at Interstate Batteries.
Kyle Busch has had a lot of second places here, gentlemen. He's trying to end this streak with a win. Marty?
Steve Letarte just reconfirming Jeff Gordon knows to stay out on this stop. Any doubt there that you were going to take 4 on that last stop? Seemed like you hesitated for half a second.
Yeah, there was a little hesitation, but not really. Tires have been important all weekend long. It's nothing new here in July, but I'm extremely proud of the DuPont Chevrolet team. Guys at the shop put together an unbelievable speedway car. It's a little short on speed qualifying, but we knew that was going to happen. We worked on handling, and it's been handling good so far tonight.
Matt?
Hendrick Flavor at the front, 3 of the top 4 cars from HMS. You have to be really pleased about how your entire organization has produced this car. It's been almost perfect tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we had a really good speed weeks down here, and it's paying off. And, you know, the guys back in the body shop painted this thing, and it's awesome, slick. And, you know, we just ain't had to do anything to it. Junior's been driving a great race. So, you know, it's just a tribute to everybody at Hendrick Motorsports, the engine shop, the fab shop, everybody that's put everything together to get all these cars running back up front like they should be each and every week.
Chasing their 3rd win here at Daytona, Lindsay.
Crew Chief Mike Ford gave Denny Hamlin 2 tires on that last stop. So what, is this car good enough to get the win, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. Our Toyota's been running really well today, and you know, we got behind there early, but he worked his way through the pack and had good pit stops. And you know, I'm sure this probably won't be the last caution, and we wanted to stay up in the front. Just had a few laps on our left side tires, and our tires have looked really good all night. So we decided to take 2 and stay up to the front. Just kind of took any chance of risk of dropping back in the field and getting spun like you saw the 26 there. So we took 2 tires, no real worry that left sides are going to give up here the last part of the race. So put him up front. He's got a good race car. We've got the 18 up there to help us. We can help him. So I think our FedEx Toyota is in position. We can contend for a win here.
In 6 races here, Bill, Denny Hamlin has never cracked the top 10. Bill?
Thanks, Lindsay. 27 to go. The free pass that time again went to David Rudiman. His 3rd straight. He's now just 2 laps down. Jamie McMurray is off the track. David Gittleman, Elliott Sadler off the track. Sterling Marlin is out of the race. Greg Biffle is out of the race. There are 34 cars on the lead lap. Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin, the top 5. Then it's Harvick, Mark Martin, Casey Kane, Carl Edwards, and Robbie Gordon is in 10th from the 37th starting spot. Green goes in the air. Hang on, everybody. Robbie out of line.
Once again, as you see these guys go off in the first corner, the top 5 or 6 cars, or first 5 or 6 cars here, back to Denny Hamlin, as you see the Harvick pull out, and the 8 take that spot. Now the first 6 cars, these are the best 6 cars. These have been the top 5 and 6 cars all night long. The 88, the 24, the 18.
These guys aren't getting, they're not pulling out of line. They're getting pushed out of line.
Oh! Jimmy Johnson into Kyle Busch.
These guys are starting to shove a lot more.
Shove a ton. And Jimmy, I tell you what, man, Kyle didn't give him any room. When they got into him, Kyle kept him pinned down there on the bottom.
We want to point out Jeff Burton has continued just cleaning a little grass off of his car after that altercation in turn 4. Burton in the 30th position. It is airtight at the front right now. One eye looking forward, one in the mirror.
Oh.
Gordon leads. A lot of challengers, Marty.
Bill, I talked to Jeff Gordon before the race started. He said the first 2/3 of this race, just feeling everybody out. But the last third is when you need to be aggressive. I think this is the time he was talking about being aggressive. Part of that, though, trying to keep his car out front and blocking everybody else.
Fans, if one of the Coca-Cola sponsored drivers wins the race, people across the U.S. can visit CokeZero.com July 13th to get a coupon for a free 20-ounce Coke Zero and enjoy the only soft drink that offers real Coke taste and 0 calories. Man, there is stuff happening all over the track. Are you trying to tell me something?
No. The 48 on this restart was the 3rd or 4th car in line.
Oh, we got trouble.
That's off of 4. Denny Hamlin.
Sorry.
Ryan Newman. Did he hit you?
No.
Kyle just about jumped out of his shoes.
I was pointing at something while he said, oh, there they go. And I'm like, oh, my God, what was that?
Go to the garage.
Poor Ryan. I mean, this is the 2nd accident he's been in and been pinned up against the wall.
So it's the 3rd time he's been involved in one, too. Won the Daytona 500, but not tonight. And there's Denny Hamlin, winner last night. Probably not tonight.
See, Ryan's down all the way on the bottom. Ryan was he just got caught up in somebody else's mess. The 11 got turned. I couldn't tell who that was. and Ryan was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's all that was.
And the first accident, Ryan's on the outside, gets pinned on the outside wall. This time he's on the bottom, and it's just one of those nights where you can't get a... That's the one car. I think it's the one of
it was Truex's car. Yeah.
Truex's car.
And,
it's
like just, you know, this is what time of race. Everybody's going to get more and more greedy.
That's right. And it's the same thing we saw in the first accident off 2 when they spun down the backstretch, when Ryan spun down the backstretch there. They just all come up off the corner, and they're trying to get out to the wall. As you see the 1 car, the 11 cars all the way out the wall. The 1's right there. Boom. He touches him, and as he comes straight back across and just clips the front of the 12 car.
Free pass goes to David Rudiman.
Rudiman's going to get back in the lead lap
4 in a row, and he will now be 1 lap down.
Yeah, the thing I was pointing out before the caution came up, the 48 car started and was in the top 4 or 5. When that accident happened, he had dropped back to 23rd position. Now, did he have a right front tire going down? Was he concerned about that by getting into the 18 car? Will he come down pit road?
Yes, he will.
I think he was concerned he had a right front issue because he was slowing down and getting out of the way.
Matt Yoakum.
Jimmy said the car just would not turn. He thinks there's something wrong with the right front fender. He says, my problems began when I made contact with the 18 of Busch. That's why Chad Knaus brought him in. Going to get 4 sticker tires. Also going to look at that front fender.
Yeah, you see the damage there. Right, see him pulling it out right there. Just a little bit.
And, you know, I think Jimmy's already has seen these guys going in the corner and having right front tire trouble. When you rub that right front and then it doesn't feel good to you, you definitely, you back it off a little bit just to see what happens.
Let's go back and take a look at the contact between the two.
And you see these guys. Jimmy's right there on the line. The 18 car comes down a little bit. There's a little contact made as you see Jimmy's car. The 18 just was trying to get in position. He's 4th in line. 2 laps later, 3 laps later, he's 23rd or 24th in line. So that little bit of contact, I think when he got down in the corner here, I don't know if he felt like the tire was going soft, but definitely it didn't have the feel that it had before. So he's very, very fortunate he caught a caution here.
As they run right now, Johnson 6th in the championship standings. Field working through turns 3 and 4. They will get the 1 to go when they get to the start-finish line this time. Now, a number of cars came down pit road. Robbie Gordon, Regan Smith. Go ahead, Larry.
Well, you talk about peaks and valley. When I look right now at the 20 car with J.J. Yaley in it, substitute for Tony Stewart. Remember, he missed the race at Infineon. He comes back to Loudon and finishes 3rd. He misses the race here. He gets in a race car he has had no time in, and he has worked his way up to the 12th position. This has got to be such a confidence booster for J.J. Yaley.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and you know, it's nice to get in a car sometimes and get in a car. And we all know it. You know it, Wally. You see these guys and they're lapping you every 15 laps, and you think, my God, if I could just get in their car, I know I could do as good as them. And every driver feels that way. So I think for JJ, he's struggled. He's had some confidence hits this year. This will build his confidence back up, and I think he'll carry this back to the 96 and be a more confident driver when he gets back in that car.
And you know what? They may listen to him a little bit more next week when he says, well, the car's doing this.
And that's possible.
Now keep this in mind. These are the guys that stopped. Robbie Gordon, the 0-1 of Smith, Sauter, Johnson, Bobby Labonte, Dave Blaney, Michael McDowell, and Joe Nemechek. Those are all lead lap cars, and they'll have about 10 lap fresher tires, but they'll be much deeper in the field. As you take a look at Race View, you can listen into your favorite driver all race long. Check out Track Pass Race View yourself. Log on to NASCAR.com/raceview right now, and you can start your free trial with 21 laps to go when they get the green.
If this was New Hampshire or next week at Chicago, none of those guys would have pitted. They would have stayed out for track position. Right. But at Daytona, the tires have become so important here, especially late in the race, and we've seen people be able to pass outside, inside, that you're willing to give up some track position to try to fight your way back.
And this really is the kind of race where you see that Chad Knaus, Jimmie Johnson magic, where they fight it all day, then something goes their way, they come to pit road, they come back out of the back of the field, and when it's over, they're in victory lane. Johnson in the 27th position. So it's Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, Mark Martin, Casey Kane, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, Clint Bowyer, Carl Edwards, Paul Menard, the pole sitter, and Earnhardt Jr. in 10th. That Corvette pace car dives the pit road, and here we go. 21 to go. That didn't take long.
Now, like I said, everybody's going to get a little bit more greedy now from this point on. One thing you don't want those leaders to get out single file and just drive away from everybody. You want to be in that pack at the front. If you're going to be able to win this thing, you've got to be in striking distance.
Oh, man. Paul Menard trying to push Casey Kane with Earnhardt Jr. right behind him. Kane couldn't hold it down.
Yep, Kane got a little bit loose there. Didn't lose anything, though. Oh, they're wrecking.
That 20 car was sideways coming out. I think the 20 car caused that. And I'm sorry, but I think the 20 car got sideways, and these guys were just trying to avoid him.
Oh, man.
Another wreck for Jeff Burton. Again, he's second in the championship standings. Casey Mears is in it in the 5 car.
Wow.
But we just see it all the time at this race. As soon as we get close to the end of the race, it's just like caution after caution after caution. And all it is because guys are trying to go. They're not sitting there riding around logging laps.
It's hard to tell whether the 20
Watch
car
for the
got
6.
hit.
Yeah, watch for the
the 6 car got the 20 loose.
Yes, and JJ did a great job of hanging on. But those guys, this is a chain reaction accident right there. The 6 got into the 20, and everybody sees it, and they begin to check up. And we saw the 31 get run over a minute ago. He just got run over again right there.
You know, that's why, you know, guys wanted to stop and get their stuff, make their stuff better, but you don't want to be at the back, like you were talking about.
JJ did a really nice job hanging on to that race car.
Yeah, he did.
Jeff Burton hasn't finished out of the top 15 all season.
God, he did not hit that car.
I don't know.
Every time I see it, it's like, I can't believe he didn't hit it.
Oh.
And the 5 just turned sideways. And I'm trying to see who got into the 31. That would have been the 2 car, Kurt Busch.
But they were checking up because I think the 83 got in the back of the 5 car almost.
Oh, jeez.
If you look at it.
I know, I'm telling you. He doesn't. Like, okay, he's going to hit him this time.
I think
that's right. On board with Jeff Burton.
What's the 83 in the... Oh, no. 5 car just got on the brakes. I think the 5 car... It's amazing. Every angle you see something different, man. Because it's like the 5 car, I thought he got hit, but he didn't really get hit. He just kind of checked up and it got out from under him.
Eighth caution. This is on board with Carl Edwards.
This should be good.
Still out there, the 07 outside. Still free. Clear high. They're wrecking behind you. Just roll out of it. Yellow is out. That 5 lost it on the inside of you, caused the big wrecker.
It almost looked like, though, the 20 car was a little bit free before the 6 got into the back of him. Like the 6 just closed up on him really quick. So I'm not sure the 6 ran into him before or after he got a little free.
You see Burton on pit road. He has fallen to 3rd.
There's a lot of water down there
in the standings.
That would be coming from the engine.
Yeah, it drove that back. And when you drive that thing back to pit road and one tire is not spinning at all, you got some issues.
Earnhardt Jr. has moved to 2nd. And there you see right now, Matt Kenseth has the 12th spot. Truex Jr. has fallen out. Tony Stewart also out. And there's a good chance that one team will get a substantial point penalty this week after their car was impounded here on Thursday by NASCAR when it failed inspection.
Yeah, he may be a lot farther out than just 20 or 30 points.
Again, Burton has finished in the top 15 all season. Lindsay, what are you working on?
Well, I wanted to comment on what you guys were saying about the one team and Martin Truex Jr. I went in and was able to talk to them before this race, and it was just devastation. They said right now they actually have a plan A, B, and C as far as what happens with any suspensions that come down if the crew chief and the car chief are, put on hold for a few weeks. So they obviously know that a consistent finish tonight could really help them, especially as the chase nears, considering that they are 14th right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk in the garage about what's going to happen to that team, and that'll probably be on Tuesday from NASCAR.
Yeah. And that you can see his left rear fender hanging out. That's not good. That's like, I mean, these things don't go through the air very good at all, but that's a sail sitting out there.
He's got nose damage. He's got left rear quarter panel. He's got rear damage. He's got a lot of bad things that's going on aero-wise with that car right now.
See, David Rudiman is now back on the lead lap in the 32nd position. He has tied the record for the most free passes with 5 in one race. Kyle Busch did it at Watkins Glen back in 2006 and fought back to finish 9th in that race.
And you can do it at a place like this, and you can do it at a place like Watkins Glen where you get 4 or 5 laps down and nobody gets lapped.
Marty.
Bill, let's talk to Greg Zipadelli about what just a crazy night it has been for this 20 team. And I know Tony hated to get out of that race car. What did he say to you on the pit box? What did he say to you on the pit box when he got out of the car?
He was just explaining to me what the car was doing, in case JJ had any comments, and you know, kind of where we were. We had made some little adjustments on it, and you know, it's a shame Tony, he didn't feel good this morning, and hats off to him for getting in and doing what he did. Everybody's done a good job. We can salvage something out of here and keep ourselves in the top 12 in points. We'll you know, we'll go next week to Chicago and try to get one there.
And J.J. Yeley has just done an outstanding job. Impressed you?
Yeah, he's done a really good job. He's been patient. He's just kind of working his way up. And, you know, if we get top 15 out of here, that'll be a great day for us here.
And by the way, guys, yes, the car was a little bit loose coming there off turn 4, but he did have some help as well.
Yaley 11th right now. And you know, there have been some wonderful stories of winners here at Daytona.
Well, you know, I mean, listen, he's points racing.
That's right.
You know what? If he's got,
no, he's not.
No, I'm going to finish here.
Okay.
He's supposed to be points racing, but trust me, if he's got a good race car and he sees an opportunity, he's going to go out and try to win this race.
He's going to try to win, but here's the deal. If he comes out of here with a top 10 or 15, that's what he's supposed to do. If he crashes that car or gets caught up in something of his own making, not of somebody else's making, then that's a mark against him because he is a relief driver. And you just heard Zipadelli say, our plan changed. We just need a good top 15 out of this.
17 to go at Daytona. That didn't take long.
These guys are I mean, really mirror driving already. Really bad right now.
And they got to go. With 17 to go, now you're not going to get that strung out one-on-one racing or two-on-two racing. You're going to get that strung out all in one place, everybody racing for the same thing.
Menard got caught out of line.
I don't think there's going to be a line for very long from this point on.
Kenseth into Earnhardt.
Oh, we got a rub on the 9 car. That's trouble.
It's Casey Kane.
These guys just bouncing off each other.
And that's big trouble. If it's rubbing that much down the straightaway, down on it.
And he's trapped out there.
Yeah, he needs to get out of the way, really. I mean,
got help coming behind you. We got a tire out of looks like or something.
And here's the deal. Okay, now you're JJ. You don't want to go to the outside because if something happens, he's going to go to the right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Kane needs to just get to the high side and ride this thing out.
Wow. Did he get hit and moved up there? Because he just
looked like the 77 might have crowded him a little bit.
They're trying to get around that 9 as quick as they can because, I mean, when you see a tire rub like that, it's like blood in the water. You got to get away from that guy because you don't know what's going to happen to that car.
Yeah, you don't want to be behind him. You don't, like you said earlier, man. Look, you see it sparking now.
Yeah.
When it starts throwing sparks, it's going to happen.
He's not slowing down. See Jimmy Johnson back there. Yeah.
It's still got a little smoke, man. Most of the times those things will not clearance themselves, no matter what. And as tough as these cars are, we see these cars bounce off walls. They're not as fragile as the old car we ran. But man, I'm telling you, that's still just a very thin tire. When you start rubbing that outer layer off, and you see that thing still smoking, and now the front end's down on the ground, it is sparking some.
Again, that's J.J. Yaley in relief of Tony Stewart in that 20, that orange number 20. Getting a push from Dave Blaney.
Oh, got a big push right there.
But he's got no place to go.
Right,
and that's what the guys behind you can't see. They can push you into something, and there's nothing you can do about it because he pushed him right up on that 2 car, and that 2 car had no place to go.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on this. Let's go back and look at Casey.
See? They just all run up on those cars. The closure rate was so big on that they just all run in the same place at the same time.
Now
Look at that thing get loose.
No, it just got loose.
Oh.
So
big time
the
loose.
77 had nothing to do with that.
No, he just got free when he bounced her down in there.
Good job on the replays down there.
Great job picking that up. And while all this is going on, Jeff's just methodically leading this thing. And Kyle's just riding there on his bumper, and Junior, those 3 guys.
And we talked to Gordon earlier in the weekend, and we asked him where he wanted to be on the last lap, and he said out front.
Yeah, said it's easier to make a car wide on that last lap than trying to wonder if somebody's going to go with you or how do you make a move.
And before this caution, the 17 car, remember Matt Kenseth, we said, okay, he had topped off, and he was the only guy that had been in the top 5 or 10 who really topped off and had a shot at doing something. Here he is 4th. He's worked his way back up to there.
Now Junior's got to be wondering now, is my teammate going to go with me this time?
Well, you talked about it earlier in the day.
Yeah, this is the time. This is the time of the race you start looking in the mirror, or you start asking your spotter where your teammates are.
It's like
because now you're all good buddies.
It's like spotter, go talk to the 16, talk to the 17, talk to the 20, go talk to somebody. Get back to me. Get back to me.
Carl Edwards out of line with Robbie Gordon on his bumper.
Yeah, don't forget about the guys that put on fresh tires there. 7 is one of them, Robbie Gordon. And these guys have 10 lap fresher tires than everybody else, and we got more guys.
Big spinning her.
Caution is out.
Caution's out.
It's coming off of turn 4 right there through the tri-oval.
And that's a guy who had the oldest tires.
Yeah, right.
Remember?
And this is not what Robbie and those guys want to say.
You heard Frankie say, wrap it up.
We've seen this so many times tonight where you're coming from the bottom, you think you're clear, and you're not.
It's Jordan Nemechek in the 78. Sorry, Wally.
You're just running over somebody's left front fender.
Yeah, and you think you got the guy cleared, and you need that extra 3 foot of racetrack. That's all you need is that extra, because you see him come straight off the bottom of the racetrack, right up, and get into Nemechek on the outside wall. But he needs that to make his car turn.
That camera's seen a lot of action tonight.
This is our 9th caution, but it makes you think you're faster.
Well, no, but you really are faster because you can go where they're not, and that's the thing. These guys they're using all the racetrack because their car's handling so bad. They've got to use all the racetrack. Where a guy like Robbie Gordon, he can just cut down underneath somebody
Stop on your side
and make the
4
pass.
tires, left front fenders rolled up under. There you go, Tank. There you go. Get some force on it. Need a pry bar there. All right, you got it. All right, come on around the left side, guys. Left front fender should be good there. Just checking there. All right.
I think new tires, right now, new tires on these guys' cars, like you were talking about the 55. And these guys,
man, we got 4 fresh ones.
It just makes you feel like you're 19 and invincible again. You just turn and do anything you want to do with the car.
And that's a huge break for Casey King because he had that tire rub, and right now he's 12th in the standings. Jamie McMurray gets the free pass. He's 6 laps down, and Marty's got something.
I was going to tell you about Casey Kane. He said he had no idea what happened out there. He said things are happening so fast on the track and everybody's closing so quickly on other cars. It's hard to tell what's going on out there. But I like the call by Kenny Francis. They're going to drop obviously pretty far back, but Larry Mack talked about the difference with tires. He's going to drop around 25th, 27th, somewhere in that range, but he will have those 4 fresh tires, and they got that fender away from the left front tire as well. So that was probably a very good move by this team.
I like that call too, Kyle. I think, although you got 9 or 8 laps of Green Flag Racing, those tires, I think, are going to make a big difference.
But he was almost forced to make that call.
No.
Yeah,
but it's going to work in his favor.
It's going to work in his favor. I think it will work better to his favor than if he had been running 8th or 9th or 10th and not had any issue, he wasn't going to make a lot of progress. Now he's going to make a little bit of progress, but he's forced into
Hey,
that
guys, here's some breaking news. David Ruderman did not get the free pass that time.
That's right. It was McMurray.
He was already on the lead lap.
Mr. Shaheen.
Chip Bolin down here calling the shots for Matt Kenseth. All right, Chip, what do you do? You're sitting in 4th. Do you have somebody who can help you to the finish, or is it all up to Matt?
It's pretty much up to him. He's got the 29 and the 6 working with him, and he's done a good job kind of carrying us all night. The car's been a little too loose for him, but he's just hanging on to it. So hopefully we can get back around here 8 more times and end up at least in the top 5.
All right, best of luck to you, Chip. You know, Bill, if you remember at the beginning of the show, I told you that Matt Kenseth says Speedway racing here at Daytona is maddening to him. This is exactly why.
Yep. But the fans love it. And so do a lot of the drivers.
Yeah, and it's been a good race. I mean, there's been racing. I know we've had multiple cautions and we've had things, but there's been good racing from the front all the way to the back. And watching these guys hang on to these cars the way they have tonight, a lot of them, has been
entertaining.
Very entertaining for me up here, I will say that.
Matt Kenseth is 9th in points, 10 out of 8th, but only 2 in front of 10th and 39 in front of 12th. We'll sort all that out for you after the race, and as usual, it'll all be at NASCAR.com after the race as well. Inside at 10 to go, so it's a single file restart. It's Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, and then Kevin Harvick is 5th. David Reagan in the 6th car, started 6th, runs 6th. Then it's Mark Martin, Carl Edwards, Clint Bowyer, and Robbie Gordon.
And everybody out there in TV land, if you want a free Coke Zero, you better start pulling for a Coke family driver, because it's not looking really good right now, because there's not one in the top 2 or 3.
And after the race, we'll be going to get some Papa John's pizza that you didn't come through.
I'm paying. I'm paying. I got the Papa John's for you.
31 cars on the lead lap. Boris Said is off.
And
Jeff
French
Burton
fries.
is off.
I like French fries.
Okay, we'll get French fries.
Thank you.
Yeah.
David Gilliland is off. Marlin is out. Biffle is out. Everybody else is at least 5 laps down.
Ooh, it's gonna get ugly.
8 to go when they get the green. Corvette pace car to pit road. Oh boy. What did Benny say? This is going to be big.
It's gonna be.
It already has been a little bit.
Robbie in the middle back there. Front 7 trying to hook up. Front 8. Front Bowyer trying to make it 9, and J.J. Yaley 10.
This is where they start hitting each other and they start bumping each other out of line.
You see that 18 just pushing that 24.
Oh, Matt Kenseth, nice save.
Oh.
Hang on.
Get off of me. That's what he's saying.
Well, I think he pushed the 17th and got loose. Pushing the 17 got loose.
And then the 6 got into
was
it,
all over.
And the 6 couldn't get away from him.
7 to go.
This is where Junior's up on the wheel like he was at, where were we at? Sonoma, where he said, tell that 42 to go. He's,
Yeah,
a pro. He's a pro.
We're talking about Montoya, that's right.
More contact there between 29 and the 41, I believe, or the 9 car.
The good news is we haven't seen the big one. The bad news is we haven't seen the big one.
I can't believe Kyle sat there behind the 24 this long.
This long. He's been incredibly patient right now.
Yeah, well, he's been behind him
really
a long time. You're right, Wally.
I mean, he just seems to be content to push him down the straightaways, give him a little room in the corner, and then push him down the next straightaway. And that's basically what he's doing.
Because he's another guy that said, you know, we asked him, where do you want to be at the end of the race? He said he wanted to be out front.
Yeah. The one good thing, these guys in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th are running side by side.
Matt Kenseth in that 17 car caught Mark Martin's eye in a nationwide race at Talladega. And that's one of the big breaks that Kenseth got in his career. That was Mark trying to push him past Gordon.
And Mark has done an incredible job because he was back 7th, 8th, 9th.
Look at these guys hitting each other. I mean, it is
That's below the line and sideway. Turning right, going into the third corner right there.
He went below the line to save it.
That was a great shot right there. That was a great camera shot.
There's Montoya. That's Montoya down on the bottom.
Well off the lead lap. Montoya's 25 laps down.
If I'm on the apron, I want to get out of the way because they may be down there in a minute.
There's Carl Edwards up there.
5 to go. Boy, Kenseth likes that high line.
Kenseth's car is working in that high line and making time through the corner. And Mark pushed him off in the corner a lap or so ago and then couldn't hang with him. But now Mark's beginning to get back to him. And you see they're bunching back up here in the top 4 or 5.
Yes, they are.
And
go ahead.
No, let's just go back to the 500. I'm just going back. Oh, as you see the 20, I'm going back to the 500. The outside line was the line that moved on the last lap.
Yep.
And that's where your race went.
That's happened here the last 3 or 4 races.
If we go back to the July race here when the 26 car won it last year, he was the outside line. So even though these guys have been hammering the inside, it's that outside push that you get sometimes here. And it was never that way until we started going to these cars.
Less than 4 to go.
And none of these guys really have their teammates lined up on them. When we talked about, you know, the 9 car of Casey Kane with those tires, look where he's sitting right now. And I'm telling you what, there's Michael Waltrip sitting there in the middle of that pack too.
Hey guys,
here we go.
Turn to 48.
That's Jimmy Johnson. Rudeman got
this is
one.
bad right here because they're going back up the racetrack.
Yaley is down there. Look out.
Nice job.
Nice job by JJ right there. Nice job by that whole group, right? Wow. Because the 48 just got turned straight back up. And this was in the worst place because you see the cars go up the racetrack and then back down the racetrack. And the wrecks that we've seen happen so far today, it cleaned itself. They went to the inside.
Okay, this is from the chopper.
These guys are just
that's 4
cramming.
wide.
Here's the 48.
And it's really started at the 8 car.
Oh, the 22 come out. He got bump drafted.
The 8 car and the 88 slowed down. I can't see who's behind the 88. It looked like Blaney just turned left to try to avoid what was happening in front of him, and he caught the 48.
It's Regan Smith in the 0-1.
You see the Army car up there, and they start wiggling back there, and then Blaney just turns left because they start checking up. But man, there's middle of a pack right there. And then the 44 Rudeman gets turned. It just, you know, then once it starts happening, you're just along for the ride practically.
Does Terry have it on board?
I don't know, but he's probably questioning why he's in that car right now. That was really pretty amazing. Terry just held his line, and it's been amazing how these guys have just held their lines tonight. You see JJ out in the grass there, in the 15 car, who's had a great qualifying run, and his night's just not been the greatest.
He was the Coors Light pole sitter, his first career pole.
Yeah, here we are.
It's just a lot of guys going for the same spot. Yeah.
And then the 48 gets hit in the rear and turned around, and you see, I think the 01 must have got into the 48 and then was trying to.
Trying to what?
I don't know, because he just, once he got into him, he was spinning almost the wrong way.
We're going to obviously go to green-white checkers here for the finish. It's Yaley.
Yeah, he got hit by the 15, I believe.
Look how close this is. Oh.
And now this is on board with Kevin Harvick.
This is where a lot of it started right here. You see him close in on the 28, and he just moved to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Spin behind you. Spin behind you. Watch it out. Watch it out. Watch it back.
And here's the problem when you have wrecks like this, because you're trying to drive out the front.
Hang on one second. Here's Terry.
Yeah, a little bit of that, but not much.
You're trying to drive out the front, and you can hear the spotter saying, watch your back, watch your back. Look, my eyes are in the front of my head. I can only see one place. I can't see out the back. You can see him check up, and I think Terry just gets into the 22. 22 gets into the 28.
Yeah.
Boom. and then they just turn around.
Boy, Vickers made a nice move.
But I think when he's saying watch your back, you got to look in the mirror to make sure you don't slow down so much that you get run into by somebody.
Because the majority of the wrecks that we see like this, like the 20 car of the JJ's driving right now, these guys are run out through the grass because they get hit in the rear. It's not because they're avoiding the guy in front of them. They're just getting knocked in the rear and knocked to the left.
This will be our 6th green-white checker finish of the season. Marty?
Well, Bill, Jeff Gordon not very happy with himself. He said, I should have never given up the bottom line. But here's the dilemma, Kyle and Wally, I want to ask you about. What should Gordon do? His car runs better on the top. So do you choose a line where your car runs better, or do you stay in position in front of everybody else where their car runs better? Tough for Gordon to keep it on the bottom, but when he's at the top, he gave up the lead.
Well, he doesn't have any help up there with him. That's his biggest problem right now. He doesn't have any teammates there to help him in case he wants to run a different line. He's going to get any help. So, you know, that's a pretty tough call right there. It really is going to depend on where Edwards or Kenseth, who they decide to go with.
Yeah, and like I say, if we go back to the 500, we saw the outside line move. If we go back to the 4th of July race last year, the Coke Zero race last year, we saw the outside line move. So I think with that many laps to go, I don't think that was a bad decision to choose the outside lane, to get up there, build that lane up, and let people start knowing the outside lane is going to be a fast lane.
Well,
now,
you just got to hope. If you go the outside, you just have got to pray somebody's going to go with you. That's basically.
But you're Jeff Gordon. Somebody's going to go with you at some point in time. You know what I mean? It's not like being Kyle Petty and going to the outside lane. You're Jeff Gordon.
Now, Kyle Busch is the championship leader and the race leader, and here's a brief recap of his night. Gets hooked by his teammate Denny Hamlin there, makes a fantastic save, puts it on the apron, comes charging back. And he just came slicing through the field. He now has the lead. If the race reaches its scheduled conclusion under the caution, NASCAR will make one and only one attempt at a green-white checkered finish. It will be 2 laps. After the green comes out, if the caution comes out for any reason, the race is over, and NASCAR will use scoring loops around the track and videotape to determine the final finishing order. So, go ahead.
Just saying that, and that's something that you don't really want to wait that last lap, last corner for the Hollywood ending because of the way the rules
That's
are
exactly
now.
right.
You need to make your move. As soon as that green flag drops and you cross that line, you better be going for the lead because it could be over before you get to turn 1.
Yeah, this move right here absolutely eliminates that type of drama from the race.
Matt.
Dale Jr. says, I've got no help. The steering wheel's off, meaning the toe's been knocked out, and I've got wimping out issues, meaning Mark Martin. He says, Mark Martin's kind of wimping out on me. Let's work a deal. Tony Gibson and Tony Jr. are in the same stall area. A lot of hand signals, so see if those 2 cars can work together as we get ready for green.
5 miles, 2 laps to determine the winner of the Coke Zero 400. Green flags in the air.
Wow, that was a really, really slow start.
That could have been one of those starts that just turned people down.
Oh, Jeff Gordon gets turned.
Right there.
Like that.
Just like that, man. Just exactly like that.
Watching the flag stand, still under green.
No harm, no foul, because he's far enough out of the way. Unless he just sits there. If he sits there.
No, they're not. I don't think they're done yet.
If he sits there, they'll throw the caution because he's in a bad place.
Kyle Busch fighting for the lead with Carl Edwards.
He's going.
Gordon is back underway. A lap and a half to go.
Edwards is just looking for a way to get around. He's got it. Got the spot, and he's got help. Oh, no! Kenseth!
What did Kenseth do?
Couldn't hold it down.
He couldn't get it turned down in time to follow Carl, or to get it to the right to follow Carl.
Kurt Busch in second spot.
Just like last year, but.
Wow, they just covered up.
Last lap at Daytona.
Oh, we got it, guys.
That's it.
Oh, man. Oh,
Again, it's not.
Believe he did not wreck.
Keep rolling here.
Oh,
now
there
they're
it is.
wrecking.
Now
Oh,
they're
my
wrecking.
goodness. That's incredible.
Now the caution flag is out.
I think we got it. That's ours.
There were 5 wrecks before the wreck.
My good, I could not believe those guys waited. I thought they wrecked coming out of 4.
I thought they wrecked on the restart. Again, the field is frozen when the caution comes out, and NASCAR will use the scoring loops and videotape to look at the final finishing order.
I think the 99. Is it Kyle or is it 99? Who's your?
I want to say that. I mean, it looked like the 99. What it was, but who knows when they? Who knows when they threw it?
These guys really don't care. They're going to ride right there in that position all the way back around here. That's going to be a tough call right there. I don't know. They're going to have to check the scoring loops. Anything that's coming up on a computer or anywhere else is not right now because they're going to scoring loops.
Checkered flag. Carl Edwards pulls ahead, but we will wait for the official word from NASCAR. A wild finish to the Coke Zero 400.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That was incredible. Great. You got to give a heads up to. You got to give a tip of the hat to Matt Kenseth. And how about Kurt Busch? I mean, to get him to start in a car he's not even been in.
Okay, here come the replays. And we'll be watching with you.
Yeah, you can see Carl Edwards has the advantage right here.
But right there, the 18 does. Where's the scoring loop when the caution comes out? The 18's in front right there. Right. So where's the loop?
It's still green.
Yeah, I understand it's still green, but
it's not the scoring loop.
It's the video.
When it's for the finish of the race,
videotape.
it's the video.
That's
You're
right.
seeing right there, if the caution's out, it doesn't matter about the scoring lap.
It's not out yet. There it is.
All right, the 18's in front.
There it is. Yeah.
The 18 would be the winner.
The winner of the Coke Zero 400 is Kyle Busch.
And I'm going to tell you something, man. The last 3 or 4 races down here, he's been so close.
Thanks for the birthday present there, buddy.
6th win of the season for the championship leader. His 10th career win in his 132nd race. And his first win at Daytona. And of course, he won at Talladega back in April. Now let's go back and start sorting through this. There's Kyle with a victory lap.
You can see people. And the accident that happened with the 24 car. And this is footage
afterwards.
Right. Yeah, this is the wreck. This is the wreck. You see them all bottled up right there.
Here's the 24.
Okay, here's the restart.
But the accident that happens here was because of the slow start. They were so bunched up. Jeff was trying to block and couldn't block. Right. He made his move way too late, and Carl was already there. Because Carl was not down on the line. So, I mean, there was plenty of room.
But that was a really, really slow restart.
That
always causes troubles on a racetrack like this.
Because of the accordion effect. Now, this wreck, these guys are already, but you see these guys running the wall. This is coming out of turn 4. Here's the start-finish line. They're 3 wide right here, 4 wide right here. You see these guys are sideways, but they're gathering it back up. They're gathering it back up. The wreck starts right here if you see Michael on the inside when the 77 comes across.
And the 77 got pushed over.
Yeah. He got
28.
Hit because they were bunching up so bad. But you watch those guys, there must be 7 cars that run into each other from the start-finish line. And saved it until they get to the first corner.
Now watch the 6 car here. Look, and then him and Boyer get way out of shape, like Kyle said. And all these guys behind him are checking up. They got to slow down, and they're trying to avoid it. Then, all of a sudden, you'll see the 77, he gets run into by the 28 right there, which turns Michael. And that's what really caused, that's what finished off the wreck, I guess I should say.
And you see J.J. Yaley in that 20 car, relief driving for Tony Stewart, got caught up in it.
You're just not going to win in a situation like that. When you're in the middle of the pack like that, you're just, and I don't know how Reagan saved that thing either. I think Boyer had a lot to do with that.
Man. Now, once again, let's go back and look at the leaders watching for the caution to come out.
Yeah, you'll see the lights. See the green lights up on the fence? Okay, that's where the lights are.
Right there where it says Daytona. Right, man, I don't know where the thing is. Right here where it says Daytona. Right there are the lights.
So so we're green. The wreck's happening. And this is, you can see where Kyle starts pulling away. And he's clearly in the lead.
And then, there's another set of lights.
Right there's yellow.
Here.
Yep.
There, see it.
I can't do this. Right in that area.
You did it.
I'll tell you, there are a lot of cheers, though.
There are a lot more cheers every week.
Yeah.
If you guys are sitting at home, you can't hear it, but there's a lot more cheers every week.
Yeah, like I said a long time ago, this guy's going to win the crowd over eventually, because you can't keep driving like this and winning racing and kicking butt without fans starting to appreciate how much talent's standing right there.
That's right. Had a good run here last night, but didn't get the win. This is the one he really wanted. Kyle Busch is a winner at Daytona. All right, let's start sorting things out. Here's Ralph.
Well, we're down here. Carl Edwards and Matt Kenseth's talking about it. Carl came up just short. Carl, tell me what it was like from inside your car as you were racing side by side with Kyle Busch.
I was just driving as hard as I could. Man, I hate to lose that thing like that. I felt like we could, you know, his brother was behind me. I know they don't get along that well, so I was planning on a really good finish. Man, just, you know, congrats to Kyle and those guys. They work real hard, and I just doing everything I could. Jeff moved down on me, and I just couldn't lift this green-white checkered, and I did everything I could. I just wish we could have raced a little longer, man. That would have been great.
I know you was kind of waiting to see on our replay, but he saw it, Bill, took a look at it, and he agreed.
Thanks, Ralph. Going to take a 1 minute and 15-second break from Daytona. Kyle Busch is the race winner. Post-race activities in a moment. TNT's wide-open coverage of the Coke Zero 400 is presented by Coca-Cola Zero. Real Coke taste and 0 calories. Welcome to our Coke Zero post-race show here at Daytona. Let's check in with Kyle, and this is for real.
This is for real. Look, since a Coke driver did not win the Coke Zero 500, 400, whatever this race is, okay?
You blew it.
I'm
You
sorry.
couldn't read
I'm
the
not
card.
reading it.
You
I'm
had
not
to
reading
ad-lib it. You
Okay,
had to ad-lib it.
Everybody gets a Coke Zero on me, Kyle Petty, the only guy that's sitting in the booth up here. So you get a Coke Zero on me. Go to CokeZero.com until, what is it, the 13th? The 13th.
He
Yeah, something
can't
like
even
that.
read
I
the
don't know.
card.
It's not on the card. Just go to CokeZero.com and get a free Coke on Kyle Petty.
Golly.
Let's go to Victory Lane where the real celebration is.
Kyle Busch was second in 2006, second 1 year ago by 5/1000ths of a second. What does it mean to finally win the Midsummer Classic?
Man, I don't know, really. I got to thank Interstate Batteries, Dealers and Distributors, DLP, Mac Tools, Butler Built, all these guys first, so I make sure I get them in. NOS Energy Drink, it's a Coke Zero 400, and NOS is a Coke product, so, man, I can't believe that we're here right now. We didn't have the best car tonight, but, you know, these guys never gave up, and we never gave up out there on the racetrack, and just had to get up towards the front, and luckily we were leading there when it mattered most, when the caution came out, and there's just a ton of wrecks behind us. I hate it for all those guys and torn up equipment, but glad to have this Interstate Batteries Toyota up front.
You said in the pre-race, near the end, you wanted to be out front. You led the field to green on the restart. Take us from that point on to victory.
Well, I really got to thank the 17. I mean, he was with the 99 there, and the 99 got to our outside down the back straightaway, and the 17 ducked in behind us, and the 2, I guess, went with the 99. But we were able to be, you know, Kenseth gave me a great push, and we were able to be ahead when it mattered. And, you know, thankfully, sometimes it doesn't quite work out with teammates. I know that from here in the past. But, you know, the Hendrick boys really worked together well tonight. And, you know, I got to thank Danny. You know, he was helping me, trying to help me there when we got squirrely on the back. And luckily I saved it, man. I don't know what I did to do that, but whew, that was close.
Some good conversations under yellow between Denny and yourself to clear up anything.
Well, I mean, I was just, he gave me a great shove from behind to get me up front, and I turned low to try to get by the 88, I think it was. And when I did, it just pinned the nose when I got out in the air, and it just got me so squirrely down the straightaway that I just could barely hang on to it. And luckily I saved it, because that could have been one whale of a wreck in front of the whole field.
Kyle Busch, his second straight restrictor plate victory. Talladega, now Daytona. Marty?
Well, Matt, I don't think there's a more disappointed man in the house than Jeff Gordon tonight, who had a car that probably could have won this race. Talk me through that restart. Was the restart too slow, in your opinion, Jeff?
Well, you know, on restarts, you watch your mirror, you know, and when the guys are laying back, you slow down. And I was watching my mirror, and I'm sure Carl was watching his mirror. Everybody was laying back and trying to get a run on that last restart. And And they got the jump on me, you know, and I tried to block him, and I don't know, maybe I came across his nose. Hard to say. It's unfortunate. We had such a strong run. I'm more mad that I let the 18 get by me when I tried to go up and get that high line. I should just stay on the bottom. My car was so good around the bottom, handled unbelievable. Steve Letarte, all the guys at DuPont Chevrolet called a great race. You know, those things happen, and I'm probably more mad at myself than anything else.
Yeah, I was going to say, in that middle, at the end of there, you were mad at yourself because you did give up the bottom, but your car worked better at the top for most of the run early on.
My car worked good anywhere. You know, it just, you go wherever the guy in front of you is not. And, I mean, we had to drive from, you know, mid-pack up to the front several times, and it was just awesome. I mean, I just love having a race car like that. And, you know, these guys deserve a lot of credit. In February, we had a great car. Came back here, we didn't qualify good. We had a heck of a team effort tonight. It's unfortunate what happened, but at least we ran good.
Good to see Jeff Gordon can still muster up a smile, Ralph.
Down here with Matt Kenseth. Matt, I know you said this restrictor plate racing is maddening, and again, it gets the best of you tonight. What were you trying to do with Carl at the finish?
Oh, I don't think it got best of us tonight. We didn't have a good car most of the night, and we made great adjustments and got back up. We were a contender then. I think this is our best finish at Daytona. So you know, the end of these races are just crazy. Once Jeff got turned, I was trying to push Carl, but, you know, Kyle was blocking, and Carl was back and forth so much. I could never really get him squared up. I was afraid to hit him that he was going to wreck, and by the time he did get squared up, I gave him a good shove, and then, you know, I was so close to Kyle that me and Kyle almost wrecked, and I got slowed up and got behind him. So overall, it was a great day. You know, most competitive we've been for a while. The guys did an excellent job on pit road. I'm real proud of them guys. Glad we were a contender.
He'll take the positive feedback and try to move on and improve on that finish next time here.
Thanks, guys. 7th win for Toyota in 2008. And the first points win for Toyota here at Daytona. Fireworks going off. Had fireworks on the track on the last lap.
How about for the last 20 or 30 laps?
And we can tell you that NASCAR is still looking at video to determine the official results.
And that's hard for them, you know, because these guys we saw it. They crashed 4 or 5 times coming out of 4. They crashed 4 or 5 times going into turn 1. They're 4 and 5 wide. It's tough to really look at them right here. They're below the yellow line right there.
Okay, they're going to freeze it when the caution came out. And there you see the 18.
You see Kenseth third,
Yep.
Busch is fourth.
And our machines are time coded basically by time of day, so you can go to different machines and get the exact same second, and that's the same shot at the same time when the caution came out.
And I don't think anybody's going to dispute the top 4 or 5. They're going to look at the rundown back to 15th, 16th, 17th, the guy that finishes 22nd, 23rd, because these guys wrecked. And then you got to maintain a certain speed, so they're going to check where they were at and all this stuff.
And they were all stacked
and
up
they were
back
all
there.
stacked
so
up back there.
That's really hard to find out who's in front of who.
Right, and I hate to give you a lot of numbers here because everything's unofficial, but right now it's a 182-point lead for Kyle Busch. That would be the largest lead of the season. A few minutes ago, Lindsay with Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch hadn't had any laps even in this car besides qualifying, but you found a way to muscle through and get a 4th place finish. How satisfying is this for you?
This is a great finish. I mean, we changed the shock, a track bar, spent a lot of time in the back, and just kept hoping and praying that our setup that was good for us in February was going to come up again here in July, and it did. Gave us a chance to run hard up front at the end, and so we just found the right groove, and we could push guys, we could accept pushes, but just got to break through and try to win one of these for Miller Lite and Dodge.
Sum it up what it was like for you going through those last couple laps.
Well, it's just where you have to keep the throttle pedal on the floor and keep your momentum built up. Anytime you back out of the throttle or have to check up to get back in line or somebody's got you sideways, you're losing time because there's going to be 42 other guys that'll take your position real quick.
Thanks, Kurt. Kurt talking about breaking through, finishing second 3 times.
Okay, that was obviously a few moments ago. Again, some unofficial stuff here as NASCAR continues to sort through the video, and that usually takes a little while. So again, if we don't have it when we go off the air, check out the Jack Daniels Show or NASCAR.com. Matt Kenseth would be back in the top 12 right now, and Kevin Harvick would be 2 points out of 12th. The 20 car would be 12th. Jeff Burton's streak of top 15 finishes was at 23, dating back to Lowe's in October of 2007. It was fun.
It was a great race, yeah, and you got to say from the very, very beginning, it was just a really, really good, solid race from first to 20th to 25th, and those guys just kept rotating position, but the cream was still at the top, and the guys that were there at the end were the guys that were there at the beginning almost.
TNT would like to thank the following sponsors for our wide open coverage. Those fine people are Papa John's, Warner Brothers New Motion Pictures, The Dark Knight, and Journey to the Center of the Earth. Coors Light, HP Touch Smart PC, the U.S. Army, Toyota, ended up in Victory Lane, Subway Restaurants, Sprint, and of course, say it, Kyle,
Coke Zero, Coca-Cola, the real Coca-Cola taste and 0 calories. On me, go to CokeZero.com.
Next Saturday night, NASCAR on TNT heads to Chicagoland. Our coverage begins at 6:30 Eastern with NASCAR on TNT Live, presented by Castrol GTX, followed by the Allstate Countdown to Green, and then Sprint Cup Racing from Chicagoland Speedway. That's next Saturday night on TNT. Coming up next, in the West, don't miss Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker in Rush Hour 2. That's next on TNT. Still want more post-race excitement? Go to NASCAR.com right now to watch the Jack Daniels post-race show. For Wally Delleback, Kyle Petty, all the guys on pit road, everybody in the truck, and the crew around the track, I'm Bill Weber. Thanks for having us in for the race. Kyle Busch is the winner of the Coke Zero 400 at Daytona.